Okay, good evening. This is the first meeting of this new council, September 14th. The time is 5:30, right on the dot. We are just now signing our oaths and our disclosure statements. We get that done and we'll move on to our meeting. Is this all you need? Let's see if we've got it right. Just give us a minute, please. Everybody got their oaths and
I'm still looking through this file and stuff here.
Do you want these bills?
Yeah, I thought we just.
that one was complete. I was okay. Is that what you
Yeah.
needed? Okay,
Yep.
good.
I'm just commissioning for your comment.
Okay, how we doing?
Good, have you done your oath yet?
I'm looking for that form.
Okay,
If you didn't get one, here's the next one.
there's another oath there. Maybe we've got the wrong. There we
Yeah,
go.
I have
That's
the other side.
Okay. So any rate, as this is happening, we have a big agenda today, as I think we all expected. Okay,
Very much so.
Lindsay is online. Otherwise, we're ready.
Are you done there, Bill?
I got that together.
You got the agenda?
Yes.
Got that, okay. How you doing? Is that, okay, so we've got them all? Okay, yeah, there's one more here.
Okay, I'm just commissioning these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suggest one more thing with everybody. Might just be me, but turn your volume things down on your phone. Okay. Hand sanitizer's there. I think we're good. Okay, so we've all signed our oaths. We've all signed our disclosures. Does that declare us official, Beth?
Yeah, approval of the agenda, so next. item.
Okay, we're set. Okay, we're official.
The disclosures, this is the same as the one we did before.
It is.
Yes.
And you have to redo them now that you're elected.
Okay,
And you'll have to redo them every year.
Yeah.
okay, I'll have to go back and take a look at the other one to see what's,
Yeah, and that's
Dee had
fine.
some information on
You can bring it back
We can.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
shortly.
Okay. So has everybody looked at the agenda? And are there any additions that anybody, pardon me?
I do. Number
Okay.
10, Administrative Assistant Rotate. Number 10, New Business. And then number 11, under New Business, the off-leash dog park. And you have that information. It's the new handout that you received when you got here.
Any additions from council members?
Me, yes. Yeah, I wanted to add, getting, internet line into the community hall. For the
Okay.
purpose of being able to hold our council meetings in a larger space to accommodate delegations.
Okay,
So does that go, social distancing, does
Well,
that go to
and-
new business or is that around the table?
It would be, well, I guess, my definition, new business is something to decide, so it sounds like new business.
so that
Around
would
the
be
table
something
is
we'd
comment
need.
and discussion, and then it may go into planning after that. But I suspect you want it new business.
Let's
New
put it
business,
at new business and we'll go from there. Yep.
That would
Anything?
be number 12. then.
Yes. Anything else?
I guess my newsletter suggestion would be new business, not round the table then.
Yes,
Because that's a
okay.
decision that has to be made.
Okay, so newsletter.
That's number 13.
Yeah. I think that's going to keep us plenty busy. Are we
Yes.
okay to? I had a past mayor tell me baby steps, so let's go from that. Okay. So we've approved our agenda, the minutes from the past meeting. I didn't see any errors or omissions on there. Is there anything arising from that information that we need to cover now, or is it going to show up in old business? I think it's going to be in old business, so we should be okay there.
Okay, so just so that you know, as we go around the table for your motions, because, so Mike, you pass the agenda.
On specific things, yeah, on things like that, we'll do it that way. Yep,
Absolutely. Bill, you've got, meeting minutes, if you're fine with that, or somebody has to tell me who's making the motion.
yeah. I think
Either
we'll do,
or.
yeah, I think we'll do that on general things like agenda and approval of minutes. When we get to, new business,
Yeah.
we may have
correspondence.
specifics to
Yeah,
that.
Things
So,
like correspondence.
Exactly.
and-
okay, so we're good with that. Could we have a foreman's report, please, Lindsay?
Just repairing some equipment and getting things ready for winter here. Doing multimeter disconnects already. Doing some cleaning at the water plant and some repairs. There's some holes drilled at the back of Wellington and left open. I'm not sure. I think there was a committee or something that drilled them. And I never found out about till end of the day Friday, and they were left open all weekend.
Yeah, I think they were just post holes, were they not?
They weren't supposed to be there. They were supposed to drill holes for poetry boxes in Wellington, and I never got notified that they wanted in to do that. And all of a sudden I got a call that there's 3 holes at the back of Wellington, and we still have to repair the dam from the spring runoff.
Okay, hang just a second. Vince is going to speak to that.
Lindsay, those 3 holes on the slope at the east end of the rail, was there to put an additional rail for handrail climbing up there? Some people have trouble climbing up that slope.
Yeah, and I have that in my agenda to do that. It's just, I have to repair the dam first. And if that rail goes in right now, it's gonna be in the way. We gotta get equipment down there.
Okay.
Because it all got washed away in the spring and we haven't had a chance to get back there to fix it yet.
Okay. And we did put in a hole for the poultry box at the hall.
Okay, I haven't seen where it is.
It's on the west side of the ramp, north of the main step.
Is there anything marking it or
Just the hole.
just a hole?
Yeah.
We shouldn't be leaving just a hole open for someone to fall into.
It's a 6-inch hole. Anyway, we did not take the unit down into Wellington Park. That one will have to be done by hand.
Okay, well, I'll be getting a hole auger to do the yard, and I was planning on doing those ones at the same time.
Okay.
Not a problem. If those post holes aren't where you need them, just close them
They're
up.
filled in now,
Yep, not a problem.
because I didn't want someone to fall into them.
Okay, continue.
Because I received a phone call about them.
Okay, continue.
I'm still waiting on a plot plan for the playground before we can start work in Wellington from the rec board. So I'm So I'm just kind of waiting on that before we can haul any product or dig the grass out or anything like that. There was supposed to be a plot plan submitted to the office and we haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I'll have to, I'll get in touch with Chris regarding that. He's been in conversation with the suppliers.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted something on the location and until we got the placement all figure out on a plot plan on a piece of paper so we don't go, I know it's marked now, but maybe someone moved a mark or something.
Yeah, there's a rec board tomorrow night, so
That's right.
that info will all be discussed there, from what I can understand.
Okay.
I think they asked you to attend it, did they not?
Yeah, and I'm not able to. I got a prior engagement.
Okay. Okay, continue.
That's all I got right now.
Okay. We've had trouble with quads and things on the walking trails. And it was mentioned a few council meetings ago that the big rocks need to be added to those
It's
trails.
pushed in up top.
Pardon me?
The one that was pushed in up top, it's moved back.
Okay, okay.
But it's wide enough that we can get a lawnmower through, and that's kind of how we have to leave it, otherwise you can't get a lawnmower through. And a quad or dirt bike can fit through that.
Okay, we may have to look at something in there because the quads have become an issue. I'm hearing of it a lot. So maybe we'll,
I've seen lots of side-by-sides driving around town too.
okay. And no, that's not kosher. So we'll have to cross that one. Okay. Any other questions of Lindsay?
Lindsay, Bill here, just wondering if we got a program for the fall for cleaning some of the major culverts specifically.
Yeah, we go around there after we get them unthawed and unthawed, then we go around with the water truck and we blast the fire hose through them.
Yeah. You got a fall program?
Yeah, we'll be doing it here shortly.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Anything else? Nope. Was getting the washrooms open on the weekend worked
Their
okay?
toilets are all plugged up and I never had a chance to go and plug them today. So I had to lock them up because I was alone today.
Toilets were plugged, you said?
Yep, they're right plugged.
Okay. Okay,
And mainly on the women's side,
okay,
they were plugged. So I locked them up this morning and I didn't get a chance to get down to clean them and to get them unplugged.
you mean they weren't locked Sunday night?
Yeah, they were locked.
Oh, okay.
I went down
Okay.
and checked them.
Oh, you went to open them and left it?
Yeah, and then I
get
locked
you.
them back up because they
Okay.
were plugged up.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yep. Okay. Anything else? Okay, would someone like to move Lindsay's report?
We can do both reports together, that's what we've always done.
Okay, well, or we could move it.
Yeah,
Do it
either
this way.
or.
Okay.
So
Vince, you want to
change
move
our-
that report? Any seconder, Carrie? All in favor? All good, okay. Yeah,
Okay, well, you've got my handwritten one. Any questions? Oh, Brett?
just give us a second here.
Yeah, it looks like this. What exactly do you mean by upgrading the stick for tracking
Oh.
lake level?
That was, yes, WSA was down, because right now they've got a high-tech stick that they measure, and
Literally a stick.
it is literally a stick, yeah. So now they actually have put in 2 more bars, so if you go down to the Y intersection there, the power pole that's there, the light pole, if you look down, there's actually a little rod in it, and WSA uses that in conjunction with the stick. Now, what they've done is added 2 metal rods, and they're just in the shrubs, they're in the bushes, you probably would never know that they were there, they're not in the way or anything. And they like to triangulate the 3. And hopefully in the future, we're looking at possibly having them automation and things like that, but literally they're just 2 more pieces of rebar that.
So are they giving you exact data on how much the lake has gone down? or-
Not that day, I just wanted to go down and make sure they were putting them somewhere where, number one, we're gonna have to be listening, we have to watch for lawnmowers and that kind of stuff.
Ben, I don't have a copy of your report. This is actually.
I'm looking for it too. I'm not seeing it.
This,
I thought I saw it
this is
earlier.
financials.
Okay, just give us a minute here.
Okay, so I can just verbally do it.
Okay, sure, go ahead and we'll find it in the
We
meantime.
cleared up this check. Another thing, several high utility bills for finding, we've had quite a few people where, it's just a struggle to get them to hook up their meter caps, their meters. So their estimate, they keep adjusting, they get those hooked up, that way they're paying for what they're using. And we've got a few catch-up ones, so we've had a few high bills. So people are a little bit surprised, but when we're looking back, and when I do that, when I'm doing utility billing, if I get something that's crazy, our first process is, I call Lindsay, I call Fran, go check that, because I think there's a problem. So we immediately check it, just to make sure that it's been written down right, recorded right, and no issue. So that was just kind of an FYI for everybody. I think too, it's been so hot, people are watering outside as well, and just not really thinking about the amount of water that they might be using. So that was just a comment. Mr. Crawford?
Do we, as a newbie,
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
do we comment or just let you go? Like,
If
I
you've got a
have something to
question,
say about that, so should I just leave it or say it?
No,
or-
it's up to.
Go ahead,
no,
say it.
You're in charge.
Yeah.
Okay.
You will do your.
I just don't want to interrupt your flow here, but, about the meter cap, yeah, I guess Lindsay as well. That's our equipment, correct? Your village equipment? That little black thing that,
Well, depends on your definition of village equipment. We require you to have it, and then it's $25 for the property owner. So we charge you for it, and then you need to get it installed.
so. I
who
guess-
installs it?
Yeah, that's my concern, is that I've had people this
Well-
summer confused, frustrated, et cetera, because it's assumed that the village would install it.
That is, well, it depends on what we're talking about installing. If you've got a summer cottage and you come and put in your meter and install it, the wires are 3, there's 3 wires, and it's just all you need to do is 2 wires on your meter and 2 on the meter cap. Now, if you've got a brand new bill, and we are not qualified to be drilling holes into your wall and running this cable for something like that. So things like that, if it's gonna have to go through a wall, we would suggest a plumber or the homeowner. Hooking it up itself is very simple. It's not hard, it's the installation. And I don't think we should be sending, our people are not qualified to go start drilling a hole in your wall, so that's. hope
But
that-
I disagree with that. I think that, this is an expectation of the village. This is how we record the usage. It's not a decision made by the homeowner. And I think that we should provide it, and if there's a fee, I don't have an issue with that. But I think that we should be installing it.
We might want to talk to, it might be.
And that may not be in the absence of somebody, for sure, like I hear what you're saying.
Mhm.
But I just don't think people feel they are qualified or they are prepared to install this device that we put the expectation on.
Yeah, and I mean, it's,
Please, Mike.
Probably due to a liability issue, because I'm assuming Sask Energy is the same way. They will not drill a hole through the wall. Because if they hit something, they're responsible.
You have to have your contractor, be it the electrician or plumber or whatever, put any protrusions
You
through the
can't
wall.
incorporate when you're not drill a hole through your wall, because if they hit something, it's their fault. They don't have your building plans, they have no way of tracking it. That's why they always send out an electrician, like you said, or, because I just went through this with Sask Energy.
Actually, in the case I'm referring to, one of the cases from the summer, it was the wire. The cap, is that the black thing?
Yeah.
It was there, and it was the wire was not there.
But to put that wire through the wall, because you have to drill a 1/4 inch hole to run the wire through the wall. Then you drill the hole and hit a power wire in the wall, or something like that, or the gas line, whatever. It's up to the homeowner to have it done by a contractor that is familiar with that type of work.
Now, we're talking about new builds, we do have people that just absolutely don't want it, right? For whatever reason, I mean, it is what it is. But if they can call in their reading on time, we will use that. Or if they're there, we will go in and read. I mean, essentially, we prefer just everybody be online so we can get your reading and bill you what you should be billed instead of guessing. But talk to Lindsay to see how we can set that up, because any of the seasonal ones, the summer folks, we hook those up. We put in your meter, we hook them up, because it's fair. But if it's a new build, we have no business doing that. Now, depending on who your plumber is, DMH is familiar with it, they'll do it. Curtis is familiar with it, he'll do it. Trying to think, but if it's a different plumber, they may not even realize it.
So in a new build, it's just a one-time thing. It's not that it has to be done every year or every, okay.
No, and over time, those wires get moved, or you reside, this is you reside the house and you take it off and leave it in the garden, or, things like that, it's forgotten about. So we do put a reminder, please reinstall it, which in most cases, an example like that is just put it back up on the wall, or just somewhere where we can find it. Yeah,
Can I make a comment?
Please.
absolutely.
I have been going around and there's some that were disconnected, wires broke here on this last street that we found, and I've been going around and fixing the ones that I can. And I'm in contact with some homeowners to look at putting some in on them. Myself, I'm comfortable doing it. I can't speak for anyone else on the staff. And I don't want someone else on the staff taking that liability and on doing it.
Gotcha, okay.
Because if they drill through an electrical wire, either they get shocked and a lot of these places you can't see. There's so much insulation up there, you don't know what's in behind it.
Okay. But it is just a one-time thing on a
Yes, it is.
new
And
build.
then it's
Okay.
just on the seasonal ones, it's taking the wire on and off over time. They do get fragile and break. And then if someone does reside their house, I don't know, I found one here, the button's there, but it's not hooked up. There's no wires to it even.
Okay. Okay,
So,
well, I guess that answers. does that
and then it's
answer your
just hard
question?
getting in contact with a lot of the homeowners
Right,
when they're half the time they're not here, or they're only here on the weekend.
okay,
It does answer my question. I think we're talking about two different things, because the ones that I was citing were seasonal.
okay.
It wasn't the installation, the original installation,
Okay,
the big
And our
effort.
people should be hooking those up, right?
Well,
The
actually,
meter
Lindsay did
comes
help, I think, in that
Yeah.
case, so.
Yeah, that one, someone had changed something at some point, because the wire that was there was way too short
Okay,
on that one. And there is a few like that, and I've been trying to fix them
okay,
as I come to them.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Continue.
Did I understand there's a $25 charge for the button?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, continue.
Okay.
One-time fee? Or $100?
Yes, unless you need multiples of them, don't break them.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay, Jim Crawford, just wanting to know if council is still interested in the east half of the drive-in property being leased to them for a seasonal site use. That was in conversation prior. Later on, I guess, under new business, we'll be doing communities like your board, so
Yep.
we can bring that up back
We'll
then.
cross that
Just
one.
wanted to
Yep,
discuss about
please.
that.
Yep.
Discretionary approval for residential care home being built in a single-family residential district will be on the next agenda.
okay,
Now, this is, I have to do a little bit of background research here.
I think we've got a map in there, yeah.
We do public notice,
Mhm.
is required for closing of the lane as well as the discretionary use. So with the discretionary use, we also, or I will also be to identify within 75 meters of that property. Every homeowner will be notified that this is something that council is considering, and we need to have a set of public meeting
public
dates for
meeting.
this.
Yep.
And I need you to do that today, because I
Yep.
need to get those letters out, and we'll have
Okay.
to sort out where that meeting will be, how it's gonna work. I presume the hall,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna have to figure out
Go
our
from there.
people.
Okay, do we want, I would say that we do it the meeting after the next one. Does that make sense? We could do that, like we have a meeting, still
On the
in
28th.
September, and then 2 weeks later, we have another one after that. Is that soon enough? Does
Oh,
that give you time
my goal, I was trying to have this out.
for the next meeting?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
because your public notice is 7 days.
Okay,
So if I can get all of that notification out, the public notice will be posted as well.
mhm,
75-meter distance, those folks with their letters.
mhm,
You would just need to figure out when your public meeting is,
okay,
right? And your public meeting could, in fact, depending on what your schedules are like, could be in the afternoon of the 28th. Or,
mhm.
you know,
Or it could be
Prior
7
to-
o'clock, yeah.
well,
I'm
your
just
meeting's
thinking,
at 5:30.
yes,
right?
yes. I'm just thinking of times that allow most people to attend it.
Absolutely, no.
So it
that
needs to be
meeting
in the
is,
evening, yeah.
Yeah, don't pick a Sunday, that's.
Oh, no, no,
probably
I'm
not there.
talking about, say, 7 o'clock at our meeting.
Well, I do
Could
it
we do
before,
that?
because you can't talk about it until after your public meeting.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's put that into discussions and we'll come up with a time on
Okay,
that.
just to be, that's
Okay,
what we
just
need for that.
continue, yeah.
Okay, Manatee Beach Rec Board has received $3,000 from the BHP Community Assistance Fund letter. Once again, when we have everybody choose their committees, there's mail here for CIB and Rec Board
Mhm.
to pick up. So I just wanted to note that. Elected officials receive a gift or gift certificates to thank them for their service. It's written there, their policy is $25 per year value. So I've written down the amounts there for Jerry, Larry, Chris, Doug, and Lori Patel. Because she left and we wasn't really sure what she left on her own accord, didn't finish off. I guess council will decide if we want to include that in there or not.
Almost definitely. Okay, we'll cross that one. Okay, is that everything then?
Oh, that's on there.
Okay, any questions for Bev?
I could carry on actually and finish.
Oh,
And then you can ask.
I'm looking at what you, okay,
I
you've
know,
got
but then
some more?
there's always
Good.
more. That was on
And-
Wednesday. All this has happened since then. Okay, you all have a handout. It's an update from the commissioner. I put this in, as an additional, you got it tonight when you walked in. And it's just an update on the 206 Water Street, cleanup and warrants and that kind of thing, on the other side though. So essentially our, it should have happened Saturday morning, is what Bob had said. We were going to show up and start the cleanup. I presume everything went fine. I haven't heard otherwise. And he's working on the warrant to have an internal inspection of the house. Pauline, that's not something that she's familiar with, but he's working on the same type of event out at Edwards Beach as well. So he's just gonna use that paperwork and pass it along to Pauline and carry on. So it comes like it would be a warrant and it will be an internal inspection on that property.
When Bev's speaking with
Go
Pauline,
forward.
she's talking about Pauline Sink, right? The
That's
lawyer.
right,
Yes.
unless you're familiar with warrants.
Well, that's what, making sure council knows who we're talking about. Mhm.
The
Okay.
warrant is for what reason?
The warrant is to have an internal investigation of that house.
Triggered, caused, what's
Unusual activity and concern and
Determine whether it is habitable or not.
Yes,
Okay,
Health code?
among other things.
well, and I think there is some issues. I've talked to Regional Park as well, and they're having some issues
Yes.
with this,
the property owner, yeah.
Right, she definitely needs some help. So this is just one step. I did talk to Bylaw Bob too about possibly social services being involved in what, that's more his stuff, like we don't, and do what he needs to do and we'll carry on, but it's not a quick thing for sure. So I'll keep you posted as I know new stuff. So the public meeting date, we talked about that. Assessment appeal. Okay. The Manitou Springs Hotel and Spa has appealed their assessment value. And I just got their response from the mediation board. So it has gone from 8 million and some change down to 5.1 million. So we've got dollar-wise taxes. That is actually $22,855 less than our levy. So that's just something for you all to know.
That's tax dollars we don't have. Okay.
And what caused that, or do you know? What-
They won their appeal.
Okay,
Yeah.
This is an
Yeah.
I
ongoing,
didn't know there was an appeal, sorry.
there's
Yeah.
an appeal
Yeah.
every year, yeah. And yeah, it's just every year. So we always try to be prepared for our abatements and stuff. We may levy this amount, but with our budget, we may not receive what we think we are.
And the appeal was from what to what again, sorry?
That was from the year,
Actually, it was 2020.
it was this year.
Yeah,
And values, you said?
8 million and some.
Down to 5.1.
Now, a little background, it was last year, 2019, the local assessment appeal board had given it 5.1, and then SAMA actually said, no, they're absolutely wrong, and raised it up again to the 8 million. And SAMA at some point was actually going to take them to court for something to do for how the decision was made, and it's not the spot, it's the appeal board. And then for whatever reason, that didn't go through. They were appealed it anyways and was often. So it is what it is.
Okay.
Okay, I am done talking.
Okay, any questions of Bev? I'm going to ask about the extension we gave for an unsightly at the last meeting.
September 30th, was the date?
Yes, okay, so, and they were notified of that, and we're all,
Oh,
we just hold
absolutely,
on.
and I love Bob is notified, he's the one that made it.
Okay,
Let him know, because he's gonna be the one keeping an eye on it. So
Okay,
we'll go forward
good.
after.
okay.
I haven't been by there.
No, I haven't either, that's why I'm, okay,
That is progress.
okay, good, that's good to see. Pardon me?
That's the one on Hall?
Yes, yeah. Okay, now, just find my way back to my minutes here. Okay, so we need somebody, yes, would somebody approve, pass Bev's report, please? Rob wants to, yeah. Seconder, we don't need a seconder, we just need to, all in favor? Okay. And we'll move on to unfinished business. We had a request, the last meeting, for a 5-foot setback on the south side, rear for a garage at 101 June. Beth, could you speak to that? What,
Well, just that, this is one of those things that came in last minute, and the town staff
at the last
really
meeting? Yeah,
look at it. But yeah, and this is typical, he wants more yard space, right? And the access to the garage is actually gonna be on what would be the north side. And I see no reason not to grant the 5, with conditions of course, fireproof siding, no openings, walls, windows, soffit, anything like that, unless it's like, can't imagine the meeting to put window in that, but it would have to be fire rated glass.
there's a little bit of history, there's specifics. This 5-foot setback, we often see it, don't we? And we
often,
make,
yeah,
as a council.
As opposed to, what is it,
8.
normal, 8?
Normally 8 for frontage.
Mhm. Yeah, it
And
has,
that's minus fire rating. You don't need to have extra fire rating in 8 feet there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know our zoning bylaw says 5 feet side setback, but the year that we had redone that was the same year that the National Building Code switched it to 8. It was just really bad.
Now,
go ahead.
yeah, that's on the south side. Was there anything to do with the setback to the alley as well?
Well, there's no
And rear.
entrance on the back, so,
What's
on the
that?
back, there's no entrance to the back.
Yeah.
And you're right, if there's a door in the back, if there's not, his access to garage is on the north side, he's coming in this way. So it's just a wall and no access. So he can be back.
And he's actually moving the garage onto the property before he's putting a house onto that property, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so the village would have to give him approval to do that also, correct?
I think that what he's doing is so backwards here with the variance. Because right now, this is just the variance. I think he might have done this one already.
Okay,
He
we
had
gave him
bought it.
approval,
Yeah,
okay.
I think he had bought it because he needed to move it off that lot. And then, after the fact, he decided, well, this is how it's gonna be, and I think I found the house that's gonna go here. So he's kind of doing it choppy, but I think we already have that.
Okay,
So the question right now is that side foot setback, and I will double check to make sure we've got the accessory building.
Right.
You
And if
need
we
to
did, we
approve
bring
an
it back,
accessory
yeah.
building going in before a primary.
okay, so I guess we would need that in the form of a motion.
I make a motion that we accept his application for variance. He has said that he will side it, it's vinyl, that he's changing it to tin, the roof is tin,
Mhm.
so I don't see any problem.
Okay,
And they'll be the same as his previous, he's got one already, so he's gone through this.
And he wanted the extra 3 feet for what reason?
Because it's more space on the other side,
For
I'm guessing.
parking on the driveway.
Well, because his access is,
He's
Yeah,
coming
I
in
see
from the
that.
north,
Yeah.
his access is
Yeah.
north, right, so he's gonna come in and turn, that's his access.
okay,
And that's often why we see that request.
Mhm.
So I break up that lawn and we can have it a little bit bigger
and
yard.
access is often an issue in our
Yeah,
hills and
makes sense.
back lanes,
It makes
okay?
sense, it would only leave him 14 feet without,
Except for
Yeah.
requests
Okay, any more discussion on
or
that?
variance. All right, and get your exact words, Rob, that out.
Uh.
It'll look pretty tomorrow in a minute.
Is that okay, or do you want to hear it?
No.
No, okay, all in favor of that request? Okay, carried. Okay, we have this request under number 2, but we also have received a letter.
Yeah, just kind of changing that request. The original request was putting a fence in the alley as well on that property, and they're withdrawing that request, that part of what they want to do. They would still like to transplant evergreens to the west side and a fence on the edge of the coulee
And,
and whatever else they had had in their original.
okay, so the request, do you all have the letter in front of you? Yeah.
There's no one.
It's a lot of paper, I'm sorry, okay,
The-
so, yeah, they want to,
The request would be on age of protection and nature.
got it? Okay, so as Bev said, it's a request to transplant spruce trees on the west border. That west border looks down on Wellington, so there's no property that the village, there's no possibilities for builds on the west side. So it would not affect us, it just give them a more picturesque lot, okay? And the other request, just a minute, how'd that work? So they were going to rescind the request, correct?
There is.
so on the alley, I visited the site today,
Yeah,
and on the alley, they are removing the fence request,
okay,
but they still want to plant some trees across the alley for a
Right.
windbreak. On the west side facing the coulee, they
mhm,
want the 2.5 feet for the fence and trees.
on the west side. I'm
they
misunderstanding.
want to keep the fence on the west, on
Right.
the valley side.
And they want it outside of their property line, correct?
Yeah,
That's the 2.5 feet. outside of their property line.
On the west side.
It's 2 to 3 feet.
Okay, but they've dropped the request for something on the south side,
The fence.
the fence and trees and all that kind of thing. Okay, so the west side doesn't affect any village property other
Except
than,
we'll have the fence.
except there'd be a fence there.
I'd like a little history on the easement that was removed from the west side of the property.
Yes. There was an easement there that's been removed, right?
Right, I
And
can,
that was gonna be the walking trail.
Yeah.
That was from the previous owners.
yes,
Bought that, and the rec board dealt with that, and then
it was an easement to allow a walking trail right on that very edge of Wellington. And then when the trails were actually, it was determined where the trails would be, that did not become part of the walking trail. So when the new owners purchased this property, they asked that that easement be removed, and the council agreed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it happened?
There's a little bit more to, because the same
Mhm.
owners had some other land that we're using as park, and so there was a little bit of, oh, we just don't worry about that, and then there's that easement that also impacts.
Sort of
The,
how it went, yeah.
There has been problems with fences being built on alleyways, like outside of property lines, and like other places in town. And it seems to be an issue to get that corrected, and I don't know if we should be allowing something like that to happen, because it's gonna set a precedent for anybody else.
Mhm.
Somebody sees a fence outside the property line, and they're gonna say, well, this is where it is, it's so far from the post, and that's where I'll put my fence,
Okay,
you know?
Now, you said alley, but you're talking about the west, right?
Any place outside the property,
Yeah.
like fences should be on your property,
And I
or on the
agree.
property line.
okay,
Yeah, that's a precedent that we really
okay,
I would choose to avoid.
okay.
The way I look at it is it's the end of the road. The city of Saskatoon gives people on the end of the street, you don't have to have the same fire rating. There's no setback expectation. You can have entrances that wouldn't be allowed, in other situations because you're at the end of the block. There will never be a neighbor. And I think I see the same kind of argument here. There will never be a neighbor. I know what's motivating this is that his sprinklers are right there, so he's trying to build a fence without disrupting the sprinklers that are right on the property line,
On the west side,
on the west side.
okay. How are you gentlemen, if we handle this in two parts? We handle the fence and the trees, and then we handle the south trees
Separate
separately.
boundaries of western and south.
No, I'm just meaning as far as getting approval and discussing it, because we're dealing with two different things here, right? Okay?
One's a fence and the other are trees, so.
Well, the other, one is a fence in an area that won't be affected, except that there will be a fence drawn there. The other would be planting trees on village property in a potential build area, okay? Am I making sense there? How do you feel about handling it separately? Or do you want to put it all?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, okay, so if we're dealing with this, the fence and the trees, I guess what we would do is put it to a motion, a positive motion, and then we would vote on it. Does that make sense? That we could, somebody would create a motion that says we can have a motion to not allow it and vote on it that way.
Let's deal with the fence separate from the trees.
Okay, so we're talking about the fence on the left side.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you want to deal with that?
Well,
Put it to a motion and then we can discuss it and vote on it? How does that sound?
yeah, let's make
Okay.
a decision on.
Okay.
However we do that.
Okay. Who wants to,
I will make a motion that we do not allow fences outside of property.
okay, Any more discussion on that?
Something.
Go ahead.
Outside of property being said, are we able to sell him more properties so he can build his fence?
It would be the
Have to
valley, it
subdivide.
would be Wellington.
It's, okay.
It would
Yeah.
be subdividing the,
Yeah, it would-
Okay. Does that answer your question?
That answers my question.
Okay,
Just for my notes, the motion is do not allow fences outside of property.
okay. All in favor? That was 4, okay. Did you want a count? Does it matter to you who, okay? Now, let's handle the trees on the west side. So the
All
request is
trees, I
for,
think, right? All trees.
I think trees on the west side are separate from the trees on the south side.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're dividing this into three now.
I get, that's okay, let's just do it and let's get this done.
well, the trees
Okay?
on the west side are on public property, whereas the south side is
It would be public
Potential.
property also, but
with
But it would-
potential of a bill.
there's a potential, yeah. Okay, so let's, somebody want to put a motion to handling the trees on the west side?
Okay, I'll make a motion that, Ross be allowed to plant these evergreens on
The west side
the
of his
west
property?
side, just over the west side of his property.
Any more discussion on that? All in favor? Carried. Let's discuss the windbreak on the south side. I guess we'll call it the windbreak. Okay, that would be on the opposite side. That would be at the back of the back lane, right? And it would be on
Beyond the back lane on public property.
Yes,
That's right.
Yeah, that's that.
No,
would be
village
22
property.
feet.
Yeah,
Village property, yeah.
yes.
would he consider moving even further south?
It's still going to be on village property at
It
that
would,
point.
it would be, but it would not be it would probably be a selling point for any of those lots there if you had windbreak on the south side already.
Are we subdivided up there?
Yeah, we've
There are
got-
lots.
Yeah. There's lots up there.
Okay, so
But they're not serviced.
behind that
No.
alley.
Yeah. They're not serviced, but they are divided. in
When I
one
talked to him today, because I visited
way. Mhm.
that site as well, I suggested that if he did get permission from council to plant those trees across the alley for his windbreak, that he would collaborate with Lindsay as to, because they are mowing, you can see that the village is mowing
Yeah.
a little bit of that meadow, and they mow that area, so that if they get permission, they would plant them without obstructing the village crew. So they would work, together, not against what the village is doing.
My concern with the planting of the trees on village property and not on his own property is what is one man's windbreak is another person's loss of view.
Yes, good point,
So-
good point.
Which means
Yeah.
those people who value their view in those directions are gonna lose it. And
Mhm.
No, there's no residences out there right now, but anybody
no,
purchasing
the
those
people,
lots.
but the people who exist there, would be looking out that way too. They look out their back
That's
alleys
true.
in that direction and across the other way. So we may be accommodating somebody in the shelter, but on the other hand, we're taking away somebody else's aesthetics.
Okay.
To me,
Mhm.
the requester has enough land to plant trees for his own windbreak on his own land. And that would be my preference.
Okay. Anybody else have a comment on that?
Well, I think that my counter argument to your view argument is that there was a resident here a while ago who tried to float this idea that everybody's lake view would be protected by the people below them. So, we found that lake views weren't protectable, so a meadow view is Like, I don't really see that as,
Well, if you're building on your own property, if you're putting plant trees on your own property, that's your right.
Same with the Lakeview.
Yeah, and that's what will eventually
Any
affect somebody's lake view. The same way as these trees are gonna affect somebody's view. And
And I
if
guess
he
if
puts them on his own land, that's his right. For us to give him permission to put them on the village land to accommodate him, but to take away somebody else's view, I really don't agree with that.
Okay. So I guess we need to, somebody put that to a motion and we'll vote on it. And we'll see where we stand. Bill, you're speaking to it mostly. Would you like to?
I'm
Create a motion
willing
for
to create a motion that says we don't grant planting of trees on village property.
Okay,
so that means, is that a bylaw now, or is that just in
That's-
this case? Like,
that's in
doesn't it-
this.
Doesn't it have to,
For a policy.
yeah, like, are you wording that so that it's just about this issue, or? are you
I guess
saying,
it would be just about this one now, and then if we
Stop.
wanted to create policy on that, we could.
Because I want to see people planting trees out here. All I'm seeing is a loss of trees and the water has taken. So if this is a serious, no more tree planting, if that's how it's worded, I have a problem with that.
No,
It's
no,
only- It's only no more having people requesting to plant trees on property they don't own.
Okay. So how could we, how have we got that worded?
Oh, well. We don't
Okay.
grant permission for people to plant trees on municipal property. Is that reasonable?
No, what happens if, there's a lot of trees planted right now between the property lines and the roads that were planted by a CIB or somebody in the past?
But
Well,
If
that's,
that's,
we don't go back.
and that's,
No, no,
and
no, I
those would
realize
be
that,
municipal,
But trees in that place and on the frontage,
that's municipal, Communities in Bloom had municipal okay for that.
okay.
Okay. We got, are we all familiar with how that's,
Or do
that
people
motion went
identify
pretty
it
vague.
as property?
It's pretty
That
big.
would do.
okay, I would say that we need to identify it to this property, and then if we need to turn it into policy, we can,
Yeah, my
We can
motion was
tweak it there.
specifically about the
Yeah.
owner.
okay. How about if we have the motion specifically to this particular owner, if you're okay with that? And then we can look at it as policy in another, in the near
We'll deal
future?
with this at this point.
Yes, how about we deal with this one? So again, how could we word that?
We don't grant permission for, was it 216?
214, 216 Cummings.
Yeah, to plant outside their property line.
Okay,
So the motion is not to or to?
yeah, the motion was not
Not
to.
to, yes.
Okay,
We don't grant permission.
okay. So,
That's, okay, was that including the Westlands? That
no,
was already done in the other motion.
south of, yeah, we said
That's
no.
what I said, right.
Okay.
Okay.
On the south one. Okay, all in favor of the
I'm
motion?
sorry.
I'm
sorry,
good.
I'm confused. Can I hear?
Could I hear the motion, please,
Positive or
Beth?
negative?
So I don't know, we've got so many, I can't even read it anymore. I need more paper. If we don't grant permission.
Don't.
for
We do not,
214,
yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
214, 216 Cumming Avenue on the south property line. Outside the south property line.
fair
Does
enough.
that make sense?
Does that cover it?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, all in favor of that motion? That's carried. So if you could let that property owner know where we stand on that?
Oh, they all get their answers tomorrow.
Okay, yep, good, okay. We have no bylaws and policies at this point. I think once we've got our committees and things in place.
We're closing the road.
Yeah, we'll catch that, that's what I mean, we'll get those things, okay. So we have a, new business, Our number one is a letter of consent to combine 104 and 106 Winnipeg Street into one parcel. I don't think that has ever been anything the village has chosen not to do. It does allow the property owner to have one large lot and one tax notice, am I correct?
Well, what it does actually is if they're building.
Yeah.
In this, so for example, he's got two lots. He has a cabin on one lot and an empty lot in the other, so his yard. He'd like to put a shed on the empty lot, which is really his yard. But because there's two separate parcels, he would need the council approval to put the shed on, and then we also need to have a plot plan and all of that.
Mhm.
I did mention, and he didn't want to wait, it was he wanted to move it right away, and I said,
Yes.
well, if you tie them together through ISC, then it becomes one lot, and it's not even an issue, you're just using it as your yard, and it's more of a legal thing, I know you don't see the property lines, but we have to follow those rules. So we often are asked with this ISC, if they get a notification that somebody wants to do it, it's kind of an FYI, and they'll want to consent, they just want to make sure that council knows what's going on.
Okay.
He says they need a letter of consent.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they will,
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Okay. May I also note there that he should, just for his own information, should say what actual address he wants his street to, his house to become, if it's 104 or 106.
Well, it'll have a new lot,
Mm-hmm.
so then that will come after the new, because I'll get a change, because I'll have a new legal description.
Right,
When I'm updating it, that's,
okay.
yeah,
But
ISC wouldn't care about their.
No,
current
It's
address,
just that
that's-
if, no, but if it is changed, then his mailing address changes. So he'd want to keep it to what it is
Mailing
already.
address, I believe, would be the biggest one, so
Yeah.
we had to, when we were switching all of that over to civic addressing, I had done that. And we had so many properties, we couldn't determine which lot they were on and they're across, and so we defaulted everything to the largest number. We just did that right across the board. So that's kind of how we sorted that out with that. But yeah, when I do the changes in our system, it'll be, still get what you need.
Okay, so does he have a general letter of consent? We're all good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think we need a motion to that one.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, because I have to send, your motion will actually be in the consent. in the letter.
Okay, so we've got that covered?
We did
You
motion?
actually moved that, Bobby.
Okay, I will make that motion, certainly. Okay. Are we all in favor of that motion?
All good?
Okay, yes. Number 2 is request to stop tax enforcement proceedings for 411 McLaughlin. I'm not familiar where that is, but it's also, they state that the property, okay, we got a letter to that one, right? Property owner disputes the tax being assessed. So where do we stand on that, Deb?
Well, here's the new bin, I'll just clear that up so everybody knows what we're talking about.
Okay, that does help, thank you.
It's on the back.
And so at this point, I mean, they are under tax enforcement, they're down to, if you're giving a period, your 6-month notice, so if these are paid, they have to be careful.
Yeah, gotcha, yeah. Well, we could go by the number if we have that,
Well, you don't have the number, I do, because it's not in your letter. But
okay,
essentially, they've got, yeah, they're under tax enforcement, there's a sizable amount that needs to be paid by September 30th, or we will request consent from the mediation board. Now, that being said, we don't have to, council can always stop anything. I wouldn't suggest removing the tax lien, I would say just stay at this point and wait and see. But this is the second time that we've been approached by lawyers and sued through the insurance for that property as well. So that's kind of with the lawyers right now and our insurance.
Are the owners offering up any solutions in terms of what they're planning to do with their property?
Well, I've had discussions about maybe the cap enforcement, right? And that's just, there's promises made and nothing ever happens. So essentially what the lawsuit is for is almost what is owing for taxes. We're sitting at $46,000, and that doesn't include 2020.
Right.
So it's sizable. Now that being said, there are some things on title, you want to be careful about requesting consent on a title that has other means. You could inadvertently increase your debt load accidentally, right? So that's gotta be, and I mean, that's my job to make sure I know exactly what's on there prior to doing that. I mean, at this point, Council can, I mean, it's always up to you. We could wait and see. I mean, you did have till September 30th to fix this up. And then the tax enforcement would stop. And I don't imagine, I mean, I haven't heard from our insurance lawyer for some time, and they are no obligation to be giving me weekly updates or anything. I mean, we will hear when it's done. Right? I have discussions with her when it was first taken, but that's when we have them. They go and do, and there's really no validity.
Okay, so I'm going to ask, you know where we stand on this particular issue. What is your advice?
Well, it's not really my,
Well, you understand what is also owing on there, what the tax enforcement, obviously, we've started tax enforcement
I realize
proceedings.
that, and I
Yeah.
don't want to be giving my opinion. My opinion doesn't count, that's not the case. However, it's not hurting anything to sit and wait. See how the insurance thing.
And the insurance, okay, insurance claim, are we familiar with the insurance?
That's the suing that he's doing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's our human assure, and it's for, I mean, this is, we see this often, and you'll be quick to find some frequently we see it. Somebody has a bathtub, anything, there's a rainfall, or they get water in their basement, and they make an insurance claim, and the insurance, they throw it out to everybody, hoping something sticks. We're often named in things. For that reason, I mean, that property, if you're looking at liability, it is flooded, I don't know, 12 times over the last 13 years. It's never been watched, it's never looked after, you know, property after property. It's just, he leaves it, I just can't imagine it even being a case, which I suspect maybe not, because this is the second case for the same reason. He's just got a different lawyer and lowered the amount. So, I mean, in all fairness, that's
But
writing on the wall.
To be clear, sorry, Nancy, go ahead.
Mhm.
But I was just gonna say that I've had complaints from citizens brought to my attention that they were concerned about the health risks from the sludge that is being pumped out from around there. And it goes out and floats around and onto the beach, and that's not conducive to bringing in tourists.
Well, prior to that, we had multiple phone calls about the water standing there.
Yes.
Everybody wanted it pumped, so, and I mean, I have contacted them, and I couldn't believe we actually hired some people to do it.
But to
So
pump
now
it into
they're
the
coming
lake,
out.
but they're just taking that sludge water, that dirty water, and pumping it into the lake.
And where should I tell them to?
If there wasn't a berm, that water would have gone into the lake anyway, because it's coming down the hill and it's sitting where it is.
I think if
So
I could
it's-
piggyback on Vince, because I
Yeah.
was about to say something similar, not specific, is that, you know, I don't think, what I hear from Bev is that if we oblige this request, we start all over.
Yeah.
Which I think is a huge mistake. But then I was gonna throw out this anecdote that the community expects something resolved over this messy,
But that's a
long-standing
totally different
Mhm.
issue. Yeah.
So sitting and
But he
waiting
still
is
owns
good.
it.
Right, sitting and waiting is good, but people really want a resolution to this problem.
Okay, but the resolution, he still owns the land. So it won't be it's not a quick resolution either way, to be honest.
But I always assumed that taking the property from back taxes was gonna be the solution. And now you're telling me that that isn't quite the
Well,
case.
we say taking the property. What we would do is make a request to the mediation board to grant us title for it. And what they're gonna do, first thing they're gonna do is try to make payment arrangements with them. That takes months and months. So it's not a matter of, and we want to be careful about not incurring some very sizable builder's liens, mortgages that are on that title. I mean, there's no way we'd sell it to recoup any of
Kim,
that.
but there are some, is that what you're saying? Is there
I am
maybe some,
saying
there
that.
are some?
Yes.
There are,
Okay.
of course. First thing we do is get the title. That's my job, to make sure we know what we're
Right.
getting into. So my thought is not to remove the lien, because then you're starting all over. And just
Okay.
wait. There's no rule that says on October 1, I'm gonna send in formally for a request for
And then
consent.
yeah,
We could
and then
wait.
it'll be ours by Christmas. That's not the way it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really surprised.
Okay,
Yeah.
so are we, so really what number 2 is a request to stop tax enforcement proceedings. So we need a motion to that and a vote accordingly. Is there any more discussion on it? I think we know do we know where we stand on that?
To request to stop tax enforcement proceedings.
Or
Talking about the stop and to take that.
they want us to
We
stop the
looking-
process?
You said stop. We are looking to extend time period for them.
Well, I would just,
The recommendation would be to continue with the way we have it. Is that, okay, does that make sense to
But
you?
this is their arbitrary date, right? This is their arbitrary date.
yes, that's the letter I sent, because that is, I give them 30 days, or their 6 months notice, whichever stage it is. So by September 30th, they need to be looking after things. What they want to do is wait for the court case or the insurance case to be settled. I don't know how long that's going to be.
Yeah. I don't think one necessarily has to have anything to do with the other, does it?
No, I mean, you
No.
can certainly say that we can, pause tax enforcement proceedings. Pause is not, it's just wait, until the insurance case is completed. Quite frankly,
Okay,
I think
let's-
that's how you get
let's-
your money if they win. They get
Yeah.
money.
Okay, so how, you,
Pause for a period of time of,
do we
Yeah, you
really,
put a date, yeah.
do we want to? Okay, so then is there any more discussion on this?
To the end of the calendar year to respond, or
Is that something you want to do?
discussion anyway?
Yeah, I don't think we want to start the process over again. So
Okay.
we want to be in a position to hold our position.
Okay. So let's, create a motion to that effect.
I would move that we maintain our position and perhaps
In our tax enforcement
in our
procedures.
tax enforcement and extend the period to December 31st.
Okay, any more discussion on that date? How's that, how did anybody feel?
2020, correct?
Yes.
Is that a good date, do you think? Okay.
I mean, when the code with the insurance portion is concluded by then, right?
Okay. All in favor? It's unanimous.
Okay.
Okay.
That maintain the tax enforcement position, so the kids, very good.
Okay, thank you. Number 3, resignation of Charlene McKay, Administrative Assistant. I think we've all read her resignation letter. Her resignation was accepted. Her last day was, I think she worked till noon on the 11th.
That's right.
Yes. Okay. I don't think
Okay,
there's
and
any,
they'll have a motion to accept.
I think we've we accept her, Mike makes the motion to accept her resignation. All in favor? Okay. Number 4 is a request to pay for acting as poll clerk for 3 hours on advanced polls and 8 hours on election day. Could we, how do you feel we should handle that? We handle that right now?
Have you given
We
council an
haven't,
update?
no, we haven't had much of a discussion on it. How about we,
Well, it needs to be done because I need to
Yeah.
get her regular employment and I need to get that stuff done. Only to be fair, because she won't be getting an advance, right? It will be
Mhm.
right now. I
Yeah.
really need to do that.
Yeah.
Did you want to update? I mean, we had discussed it before.
right,
or-
okay. So in the past, there was where am I gonna find the papers here? There was, when Bev was ill, Charlene stepped into that position and worked full-time until Bev came back to work. And she was an hourly employee at that time.
Yeah.
So
and,
she was-
I mean, yeah, nothing much really changed. She worked.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it's
she,
okay.
yeah, she was an hourly employee at that time and she was paid by the hour, so her holiday pay was paid onto her paycheck. When Bev came back, Charlene wanted some holidays, so she took her holidays and there was a misunderstanding in that time frame. Correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah,
Okay,
we
then you
missed a
can
little
go on.
bit there, yeah. So she was hired, so all of our hourly employees are paid vacation time on each check. It's just how we do it, nothing is just done. So when I had my head injury in January, I was actually hospitalized twice. When I came back, and I was coming back because everybody continued to get paid, I missed one council meeting that Charlene was paid overtime for. So and that was really the only extra thing that had happened. So when I came back, I had talked to her, and I did actually print this off. I thought.
Oh, good, good.
We
Yeah,
answered this
yeah.
before.
Right,
So from there, when I come back, so I asked Charlene, because some of us are also salaried. So and if we're salaried, we earn holidays, right? 8.75 hours a month. That's one of the quarter days for the staff here. The guys get 10 because they have 40 hours of work. We have 35. So I switched that to February 1st, 2019. Okay, that's when that started for her. And so she had already worked all of 2018 and had been paid holidays every check. Like that was just how it was done. So as of February, she switched to salary, which was 8.75 hours a month. Well, she took in June 62 hours. Like she left on holidays and she hadn't even earned enough to do that. There was some issues with not Mondays. I mean, you can.
yeah.
I was just, not here Monday again, not here
Mhm.
Friday.
So,
It was really.
so in
Unfortunate.
so January 1st, 2020, between the Bev and the council agreed to go to 4 days a week hourly, back
Yes,
from the
because-
salary.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she was having a hard time doing 5 days, but it would appear. But when you're not, I had to apply something to the day she wasn't showing up, because she was still salaried. I wasn't in a big hurry to switch her back to hourly, because I wanted to be able to somehow incur that, it was owed back, so we could earn it and knock it off. I had also discussed and with council about, election. Perfect time to earn some money to recoup
some
that.
of it. Yeah.
So ultimately, council did, the December 2019 balance was negative 129 hours. Yes, it was,
Wow.
and so, there were,
When we switched to hourly,
no, that's,
That
I'll
goes
just,
low.
yeah. That's a lot of hours to be missing, but it was, I mean, even
Mhm.
I almost got caught. I was gonna pre-do her, record of employment, and because I had time and I knew this week I'd be very busy, and I thought, get a chance to do that, and I almost entered her timesheet in because she was working till Friday, till 5. But no, that morning it was me. So good thing I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So, council, the previous council did have a motion, removing 42 hours from that amount. It's as a gift, okay? We're taking that 42 negative off, leaving a balance of negative 87. And then I just switched her over to hourly because it was not correcting itself. I mean, I kept saying you need to come, right? You need to come to work. And I just, okay, you're switching it back to 4 days. You're taking Wednesday off, which is what she was originally hired for and paid hourly. So with that, there is an agreement to do some filing and stuff. If there is stuff to be done, newsletter information after 5, you could, file. There is work that needs to be done that could be done for a couple hours here or there, and you can apply that time to that. I mean, there is lots of agreements and arrangements that didn't happen. So election hours, I used, actually I took 20. Initially it was, what was it, 8?
It was a generous
9,
20.
10, and
Yeah.
11. Yeah, it was really 11 or 12 hours for election time, but I gave her 20 to offset that, and I can pass this around if anybody wants to see my. I'm still leaving a negative 44 hours, and then I took sick time that had been accumulated and transferred it over to try to reduce that. So that's where we're at.
So you're on salary.
I'm on salary.
So
Yeah.
do you make overtime?
No.
Yeah, there's nobody that's on salary is.
No,
Ever
only
paid
in an
overtime.
emergency. And I mean, for myself, so for example, I have done whatever elections, I mean. Which really, I'm
But
joking about it. Just
Yeah,
like-
but generally, any extra time is taken off at another point in time if
Well,
possible.
and I'm very
To make
with the salary,
right away,
Yes,
Right
yes.
away.
Okay.
There's no banking it, there's no carrying on.
Mhm.
Appointment. And I actually do 3 and they carry on till 5.
Yeah.
Something like that, but it's never, I try to, I promise you, I give you more than.
Bev and I did speak about this and did discuss whether this all fits under the labor standards and how we would fit with that. And Bev assures me we've done nothing wrong as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, she's
So-
been paid more than she's worth. Even when we switched her back, I know that you notice before you adjust anybody's hours they work, or you can't just jump on people and say, oh, well, you know what, from starting right now, you're only gonna work 4 days a week and we're doing, no, and
The understanding isn't there. I'm wondering why there's
I don't know.
so much confusion
Yeah.
as to the terms. Like, I don't
Mhm.
understand
And
why
I was very.
at this end, she,
Both sides.
talking about $200 and some dollars.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, do we make a decision and move on?
It's $200 and some for the,
Okay, so that would be something else that sets the poll clerk and election officials
At $15 an hour.
$15 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want you just to be very clear in your motion what you're paying her. Her hourly salary is in 23.
Mhm.
So I just want to be clear that you need to.
Was
Yeah,
any wages held back to accommodate any of this?
nothing. And I mean, that just seems awful. Okay, you're gonna start paying us back? I mean, that seems, I gave
you said
everybody.
in lieu of the election work, then you were gonna give credit for 20 hours?
I already did 20 hours.
So you gave her credit? Okay, so that's 20 hours at the 20 some that she normally makes, not at the 15.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
it
you're
works
right.
out to more than,
Yeah, because what
more
you're
than-
earning,
yeah.
you're earning it at a different salary. You're
that's
right.
right.
Well, I guess we have to decide if we want a past employee to leave on bad terms, if we want to suck it up, if we want to say, no, we won't do it.
I'll make a motion. Is that okay? The history is the way it is, and so for the amount of money that's involved here, I think I'll make a motion that we, hours
At
$15.
$15 an hour. Any more discussion on that? All in favor? That was
Did I
carried.
hear it right?
Yes,
Done.
11 hours at $15 an hour.
that's,
Typically in the past, when we've done it, there's no income tax, there's nothing. It's just
No.
a check, so it'll be a separate check.
okay, so that's, thank you, we've got that.
Wonderful.
Okay, we have, we just need a motion to accept his resignation. I'm actually, I have one question. There's another board that I'm seeing there hasn't been a resignation on, and that is something that we still need to appoint.
Oh, you know what, sometimes it's just presumed, this is,
Okay, so that,
often people don't write in and say, hey, I don't want to resign.
okay,
Still
So we
on the
could-
other list.
yeah, it was on this list that you gave us. So do we want to add, no, he didn't resign from that, so it'll just
Water
be
and
our,
sewer.
yeah, so that would just be our
Well,
issue later. So let's just accept his resignation.
Okay, and who's talking about yours?
Sure.
these resignations, he's resigned from, let's say, the Maple Meadows.
Mhm.
Was he there only as in the capacity of mayor before?
I don't know.
Because if there is still a Maple Madness group or
Mhm.
he would be able to stay on that as a.
If he chose to, but he already made the decision he didn't want to.
Okay,
So that's what I was
but,
looking
okay,
at.
and
Yeah,
then any others as well that he's.
yes, he
He
would,
just wouldn't be there in the capacity he was before.
yeah, he resigned from
It would be
those.
nicer.
Yeah.
So,
I think you're part of that committee, right?
well, I'm just gonna do.
Yeah,
Just gonna do it.
But we'll cross that one when we get to it. Okay, motion, the motion was made to accept his resignation. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, and we have, number 6, we have an application for approval to erect a sign at 205 John Street. Have we all looked at it? We've all seen it. Does it fit all our criteria and all our
Yes,
bylaws?
we do, yeah, it's very detailed, that's the best application. So we're just gonna move the-
Okay, so if it meets the criteria, I think it's already up there leaning on a tree.
It doesn't meet the criteria. It's 2 times larger than it's supposed to be,
Is it? Okay,
but it meets
Okay.
all the other criteria. And
so it's the size that's.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's one of
How do
the
you have that
bylaws
on
that we
there,
have?
what- How much it was undersized?
yeah, it's like 8 point something, it's supposed to be 3.
Okay,
But
so let's address
I
that.
suggest we accept it, and I don't see an issue. I visited them today. They said it's very important, in my opinion, for procedural fairness, that the neighbors are okay with it.
Mm-hmm,
So they spoke on the neighbors' behalf. I
okay,
said, I don't want to make a discretionary acceptance for your
Mhm.
oversized sign, and then 2 weeks from now, the neighbors are complaining.
okay,
So
and they have spoke to
assured
the
me that
neighbors?
the neighbors
Okay.
are okay with that, which meant a lot to me.
Good, okay. So I'm going to say that because you've researched this, is there any more, well, we need a motion to approve it and then some discussion if there's any more. So would you like to just make that motion, Rob?
Is this for both signs?
Approval to erect sign at 205 John Street.
I think that they should fit the, did the patient fit the criteria?
They were permitted to have, place that, like, that is a permission, and then it was more than one sign. To be honest, I hadn't had a chance to go through this again today. I was busy with everybody else. So I'm just
Okay,
really.
do we have everything
They
we
have a
need?
facial sign that
Yeah.
I do believe fits the criteria.
Okay. Do we have enough information to make a motion? If we,
Are we gonna go on both of them?
I would say so.
I would suggest so.
Yeah.
Let's say signs at, okay,
Physics is both, right?
signs, okay. So you'd like to make that motion, Rob? And then we'll discuss if there's more. Who wants,
Okay, sure.
okay,
I make a motion that we accept their application for, permission or whatever.
signs at 205 John Street?
For the 2 signs.
Good.
As Yes, because they are both made, so
Okay. So is there any more discussion on that?
I do have more discussion.
Yes,
I
okay,
suggest that we
please.
contact Michael Gadet and tell him, give him the information he needs,
Mhm.
since this is his livelihood, on what is the signage bylaw, because according to the homeowner today, he claimed that Michael did not know what the sign criteria was, and we do have a lot, I mean, there's a lot, there's a for
Okay,
sale sign, there's the fascia sign, there's the freestanding sign. It is a lot, and I think that this is his business, we should forward that information
So
to
that
him.
is actually all in your zoning bylaw. It's been in,
Right.
and I had actually pulled out that section and created a policy document, kind of, because it makes it easier to read,
Right.
right? So I just pulled that part and parcel right through the zoning bylaw.
okay.
So he
Is-
can.
So if we could just get a copy of that. Yeah.
Is there a permit process for your sign?
Which signs are we talking about? Are we talking about this sign or the quarter sign?
This sign right
This
here.
sign right now, this is the permit process.
This is
Okay.
a permit process.
Yeah, it is their council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
in a sense,
But I guess
They
the
need to
guidelines
familiarize
are in the
themselves.
zoning.
in future about this,
Oh, yeah, David was working on every little.
Okay, except that the sign is a lot bigger than, as you said, it's bigger than what the,
Well, I know the business, somebody is trying to gather the business community, maybe this is something they could talk about as well.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, so let's cross this one right here. So we've got the motion is to approve to make approval for the two signs to be erected at 205 John Street.
I would almost, if you want two signs and actually indicate fascia and freestanding.
If you would add that
Every
to
other
it,
sign
yes.
is saying that.
Okay.
And that's what we're.
Okay, so if you would add that to the wording. Did that answer your questions, Bill? On what you
Yeah,
needed? Okay,
yeah.
anything did you have, Mike?
I think that's, yeah, one
You're good. Anybody else?
Okay.
All in favor? Good. We will move on to committees of council.
Oh,
You
yeah.
all?
And I just missed that, that's all. Somebody needs to be monitoring tonight. That's the only
Yeah.
reason.
Okay. We have kind of, we've sort of polled ourselves on this one, right? And spoke about some of these different committees. On this list that we have, I have spoken to the Communities in Bloom Committee, and they would like a member of council, a non-voting member of council to be part of the Communities in Bloom. So if we could add that to other committees, please. And we had spoken about, we have the Chainsaw Committee, and we had spoken about it and talked about maybe changing it to being a special event committee, or do we want to leave it as Chainsaw Committee for now? Because we're still going to have to address this Chainsaw Committee.
Can we change it in the future?
Sure, I think we could change at any point, we can add and take away committees, right? There's nothing locking us into 4 years or anything.
And
Okay,
just
chainsaw and
re-adopting.
special events and all that.
sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
Be the chainsaw and special event
Sure.
committee,
I think I would like to see if that is it.
separate?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe the Chainsaw Committee doesn't want to have a special event committee, or be the same thing. Okay,
I
let's,
don't know
we
if
can
we
add
want
it, we
this
could
Chainsaw.
always add another one onto it. Okay. We have the old one I have from 2019, so I'm just going to go through there. Pardon me?
The special event committee off.
Yeah, we don't need that. Okay, so we know who our mayor is. Let's start with that. When we're talking about the deputy mayor, that is a position
We need to appoint.
that we need to appoint, yeah. There are a number of ways we could do it. We could do it one person per year. We could have it one person for the 4 years. We could have it in a position where each council member took it for a 2 or 3 month period for the first year, just to get a feel for what it would be. I'm saying, how do you want to do this? We need to have an idea how we want to do it.
Options 1 of 3, one or 3, I think.
It's kind of nice to share.
Yeah, okay.
Chances are you wouldn't have one deputy mayor, but you hired her.
No, okay, so that's a good one. Do we want to appoint the deputy mayor for the first year? Do we want to do it that way and everybody take a stint to start out with?
It may be easier to do, something seasonal. It might fit better, like 3 months.
That's what I
Then
would,
you're
yeah.
gonna
3
remind
months,
me
3
when you
months.
want to review it.
We
I
will,
keep
we would,
track.
yeah, we'd let you know.
That
And
would
then-
help, yeah.
Yeah.
because Some people may be away for a certain
For
period of
sure,
time.
for sure, yeah. And as mayor, I could, deputy mayor could attend the same things that mayor will attend. I mean, it's possible they don't want to invite us to anything, but there are times that we can also have 2 or 3 events in a
Right.
time frame. So how do you want to handle that? Let's cut to the chase here.
Is there a volunteer?
Who wants to
For every
start?
3 months, is that the way you're gonna go?
How about we do that for the first year? Okay, so who wants to start first? So we will stay from September, October, November. Who wants? Hands up. Okay, Mike, September, October, November. Okay, who wants December, January, February?
Oh, we only need to do it.
Okay, well, we should do the January anyway, just so that we're
Just
done.
make it
When I'm
motion
gone,
here.
it'll be
Yeah.
like February, March. I think I'm gone February.
Okay, so that puts you in December, January, February. And we'll stop it at there, and then we'll get the other.
Vince is what?
Vince is December, January, February. Okay. And we will,
The next one to be decided.
and the others to be decided, or do you two already know what will work for you?
I don't know yet.
Okay, so let's just
Yeah,
leave it at
typically
that.
you
Yeah,
appoint
yeah.
one
I do-
deputy
I
mayor,
guess I
but
should
it's
say
just
I
that
think
we'll
I'm
work
gone
in the
January,
tax
February.
rate for me
Okay,
and
okay.
Other than that,
Remind me.
We can make it work. Okay. Our counselors are what they are. Are we all looking at the same page here? So we're
Who
good?
made this motion for your appointment?
We'll make the motion for the full.
No, you've got 2 motions here. You kind of jumped here. Committees of council appoint deputy mayor, actually is a motion.
Oh, okay, let's
So
do that one
we
then.
can
I'm just
reverse
going
it,
through
that's
the,
okay.
yeah,
I just wanna know
I'm
who's
going
doing it.
through I will make the motion for my deputy mayor.
Perfect.
How's that?
All right, and then our committees of council, we'll just go back this way.
Okay, our counselors are given. The auditor is already someone in place, right? When we talked about it, when we were brainstorming, we spoke about maybe having 2 people under human resources.
Yeah, there typically has been 2 in the
Okay.
past.
So is there anybody who wants to volunteer in that one? I'm quite willing to sit on that committee. But we need,
you are anyway, aren't you?
at any point, but I could be that person too. Like, if we did it differently, that would end up 3 people if I attended. I could just sit back and attend. That's always
As mayor,
possible
you
too.
are
Yes.
on every committee
Yeah.
there is. But
Exactly.
you can appoint one just to focus in on as a member. right?
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Okay, so who would like to be on human resources? Volunteers, Mike, or Bill, I'm sorry. Bill and? Anybody jumping? Oh, okay, Vince would like to be on that one. The secretary has handled budget, finance, and economic development. Do we have someone who would like to do that? Again, it's probably something that 2 people could do well.
Am I needed still?
I don't know, we kind of forgot about you, Lindsay. Unless you want to volunteer for some of these committees.
No, I'm good.
Okay, if there's something we need, could we call you back?
Yeah,
Okay, then that's fine. You can, thank you,
I think
Good
that's
night.
Lindsay.
Good night.
thank you. Sorry about that, Lindsay.
Well, this is not really in my wheelhouse, but I would work with somebody on this, because
Okay. That would be good. So that is Rob.
What's that, our budget finance?
Yeah. And who else has economic? Anybody else thinking on that one? Okay. I see I'm listed as the community service newsletter on that. I would like to appoint Rob onto that one. Community services, publicity, tourism, and newsletter.
And Rob and Bill is budget.
That's budget. I would like to appoint Rob to that position if he would be willing
To
to
which
take
one?
that one. Newsletter, tourism, publicity.
Okay.
Okay. EMO coordinator, policing. I'm wondering if EMO coordinator, policing, and rural fire protection association
Yeah.
would not be a combined position. And we do have someone who's very much in the know on that. Could we appoint you, Bill? Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm switching this, I'm adding Waterous Rural Fire Association, correct?
Add
At the top.
on to the EMO coordinator, yeah,
And Bill.
the two of them, yeah. Okay, when we were talking about this ourselves, just around the table, we had spoken about grants and initiatives and maybe looking at people outside of council who may be interested in some of these things. I do have somebody who's interested in sitting on the committee for infrastructure grants and initiatives. If we have one person, but if we have two, she's also said that's fine, but she is interested in it. So do we have one person that might be
So is
interested
this
in that?
somebody who has experience?
Yes, Sarah
That's
Sarah
pretty
McKenna.
specific, yeah.
Yeah, Sarah McKenna has a lot of
Well, that's why I-
experience in grants and
That's why I
initiatives.
took in economic development, because I thought I'd be working with Sarah, so.
Oh, well, that would be a different, that's the Manitou marketing. That's different again, yeah. So are you saying you'd like to work with that one then? The infrastructure grants and initiatives?
Well, I think we
With
should put
Sarah?
Sarah in. Do we need a counselor then as well?
Yes, we should have two. Would you go on that one, Rob?
Well, only if nobody else wants
Does
to.
anybody else?
Fire infrastructure, they put.
Grants and initiatives, that is,
To find.
that's
to
working
find
with the government to try and find out the grants and what's available and, would that be correct, Bev?
Well, a lot of these, I know you're all looking at this going, oh, well, those committees. I've never
Mhm.
seen any of them meet, ever.
Mhm.
But,
Well,
no,
this
I mean,
council may be
These
very
committees?
different some.
No, like
Some.
when you go down to the other committees, you've got your rec board, your CIB, regional park, those are committees that are gonna have meetings that you're gonna go to. This is something that's been inherited for,
Mhm.
it's always been, we got this list of, it's more, interest, I would say,
Mhm.
right? So if you're interested in looking for infrastructure grants and initiatives, absolutely.
Mhm.
That's something, but there's no committee to meet with. If you run across something, let me know, because I can't find everything by myself, right? So that's kind of what they are, so I don't think you're gonna be stretching for a whole lot of committee meetings for these.
No, but
And
it's something
Especially
that
with
would,
Sarah, she'll go to work.
I can,
Well-
It's more,
well, it's something important that we
Sarah's got the
definitely,
Europe,
we definitely.
no, but we need somebody on there, so.
I will
Okay.
take that one there.
Okay, so
What are you
Vince
thinking on?
will go with Sarah on infrastructure grants and initiatives. When we spoke, we also spoke about general maintenance, water and sewer as being one. Are we in agreement with that?
Yeah, sure.
I'm getting nods, okay? And,
Well, the water and sewer, you might, want to, because I'm wondering if you want to keep that separate, because the water and sewers really are infrastructure, right? Grants for that, you're gonna be signing off on our testing. Somebody is gonna be, initialing all of the tests that they do. So you might want to keep that
I
separate.
think
But
we
that
should keep
being
them
said,
together.
it's all,
Because I think somebody with that skill base is gonna hit both of those.
Yeah. Do you see where we're going there? Okay. And I'm going to say
Yeah.
Mike is the person for that one. And he would need somebody else to work with him. And
You're saying the
am I
general,
okay?
general maintenance, water and sewer?
Yeah.
And then leaving the beaches, streets, roads as a separate?
No,
No,
we'll put them
that's all.
together because
Everything all together.
Because as Rob said, the people that are volunteering for that position have the same mindset in those two. So we're talking about Mike Hayward and Vince, is that something you're interested in?
Can do.
Is that okay?
I
Okay,
would appreciate that.
okay. You will be definitely working alongside with Lindsay on that one, and you could, have some meetings or discussions with him on that. In those cases, as this council, I do want to see some of these, when you're having some of these conversations with other people, I want to see these reports come back to the council so we all know what's going on, okay?
Right.
I'm giving you fair warning now, because I'm gonna be asking for those reports so that we all know, okay? So
If
go
I can
ahead.
interrupt,
Yes,
you know that my passion is to have this community plan actualized.
right,
So
yeah.
is that under policy? Is that something new that we create or?
I would think that falls under policies.
Yeah. and
Policy and
policy
bylaws,
just
how it was
kinda
described
popped
before.
up. Whereas for a while there, we were creating a lot of different policies. Council was just, things were coming up, so it just seemed to make sense to have somebody on that. So
So it's not necessary, we could create a new,
you don't need a committee you could certainly come to council and say, you know what, we need a policy for this.
Yeah.
How do we
Mhm.
control it? How do we define it? How do we,
I would like to see
Measure it.
I would like to see a policy and bylaw committee that just for our own benefit to start, actually goes through the bylaws and policies and sees and reviews them
Reviews them.
and then
but
brings
wouldn't
it
that
back.
be part of the audit, as Bill was mentioned, for the community plan? Like, is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
We haven't
basically
got to that
an
one yet,
audit-
yeah.
An audit of the corporation, which looks at every facet of what we do,
Mhm.
what we've been allocated, time allocated to what we do, our machinery, our, how the money's spent and is it, are we bleeding here and we're missing
Mhm.
something?
Mhm.
So it's a long-term policy of looking at, say, when you're talking about equipment, okay, what's the life of this? When do we need to budget because we'll have to turn this over,
Mhm.
this over,
Yeah.
all of that thing. So, yeah, it's general audit of the whole corporation in
Right.
terms of how we deliver.
Mhm. And that's something we
Our
will have
services.
to, okay, so then how do you want to handle this policy and bylaw committee?
Well, policy
An
is
audit
one
is
thing,
something
and
we have to-
bylaws is,
It's all,
comes in on how we do business, in
Mhm.
terms of the rules we go by, right, and what we set.
and they're both very different. Bylaws are law.
Mhm. Yep.
Policy is, we like to do it this way.
Mhm.
Right, that's kind of a Reader's Digest definition.
Mhm.
But, your bylaws are quite
Yeah.
different than your policies.
Yes.
Very
Mhm.
different.
Policies are easy to bend.
Well, neither
All
actually
of
should be
them.
bent.
Yeah.
Policy
No,
is
no,
not law though. right?
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
What if we get
But
rid
it's also
rid of
the general
policy
flavor.
and
Mhm.
do the community plan, and just go ahead with that and see how it goes, and if we need to address. if
To
there's-
just scrap just not bother with policy?
Yeah, from what Bev
Okay,
said and what we're talking about, I
Okay.
think,
let's leave it, and if we need to have one, we can always add it.
but
So
then
what are we doing?
We're not
it's
going
gonna
to
trip
have-
over the
Mhm.
community plan.
Okay. So we're not going to appoint anybody to a policy committee right now.
Right, but what, are we adding this community plan?
No, that's something that the council will do as a whole, correct?
Right.
Look at
But
it.
we will have to have separate meetings for,
Yeah.
this is a huge amount of work.
Mhm.
And I think we probably should reach out to constituents to work with on
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, So, okay, so we need a spearhead for community plan review. Does that sound right? Do you want to add that as a committee?
It's, yeah, it's gonna be a new committee.
Okay, so that's a community plan review committee. And who would like to sit on that?
I think we should all be invited.
Okay, okay,
If there needs to be a chair.
Yeah,
or
we need a
chairs,
chair for that.
fine. I think we
Okay.
should all be invited
yeah, for
and,
sure.
and grow
Okay.
it from there.
Okay, so let's give ourselves a couple of spearhead people in this group to handle that one. So a community plan review committee, who would like to spearhead that?
Bill, I think you started it.
I would, let's give it a co-chair. Would you
Yeah.
two?
If
How
that's,
about Rob and Bill? Are you okay with that?
yeah, we'll figure out what it is.
Okay. Okay, other committees, we've already covered the Watrous Rural Protection, Fire Protection thing. The regional,
Recreation.
rec board, okay, and communities in blue, that's, yeah. Good. exactly, yeah, I'm just looking at, okay. Anybody want to jump up and down for CIB? I will take it if. Okay. Okay, and I think we have two people both wanting to be on the rec board, so we need to resolve this one and figure out how to handle it. The regional park, oh, well, let's handle this one. The rec board has, in their bylaws, they allow one voting member from the council to be on the rec board. They can have a maximum of 10 people, voting members, but they're public meetings just like any public meeting, and they're going to be at the hall for the next while. Oh, we have to cover that one yet. But that can, we need to decide how that's going to work.
I feel Vince has been there much longer than I have, and I feel he's a registered.
That's very
You're both-
generous and
you're
very
both on
kind
the
of you.
board. Why don't you just
I'm not
decide?
on the board technically.
No, he can't be on the.
He's
He can't be a
expressed
voting
interest of
member,
being
yes.
on the rec board.
Yeah.
At a meeting, a couple of meetings ago.
And as we were talking about it, it became apparent that, yeah, everybody can go to a rec board meeting, but only one council member can vote at that rec board meeting.
Yeah, we have to have a given number of people on the rec board with the names submitted and approved by council.
Mhm.
I just want to, I think we should build capacity, not restrict.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, it might not be a member of the board as a citizen rather than as a council.
That's what I don't know how
Bylaw
that,
states that only one person on council can be a voting member on the rec board, so.
We are looking for a liaison person that's to be sure that the information is traveling back and forth.
Yeah.
That's kind of what, like we've got mail here that comes here and.
well, that's where Vince is,
Yeah.
or Mike, that's where we're looking at.
I have been on the rec board. If Mike wants to get some experience on that, that's fine. I can still come to the meetings and help out with other stuff as a volunteer, not as a voting member. If you want to.
Well, that's very generous on both your parts. How do you,
But either way,
really, well, how do you feel about, you two, Bill, Rob, what do you think we do?
I think they
I
both
think we leave it
go.
up to those two guys.
Yeah, and leave it up to
Okay.
them. They can take turns voting, or I don't know.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Or be one or the other, I mean, it's gonna be one or the other, right?
Mhm.
So.
I think
We have a meeting
respectfully, I'd
tomorrow
like to
night.
leave you as liaison, but
There is a rec board meeting tomorrow night. There will be a list submitted from that meeting
Mhm.
of recommended members. Will be
Okay.
submitted to council.
Okay, well, Mike has
like
said he would like
someone
he would like you to stay on that board, so we'll do that. Okay,
What's happening, Vince?
Vince is the rec board representative. Manitou District Regional Park Authority. It's been two in the past, we need two people. Bill, Mike, would you like to be
I
on
will,
that one? Okay. the Community Health Foundation. The mayor has been that person in the past. It doesn't matter to me.
Very,
I think they have a meeting every few years.
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I should probably take that one. I'm going to speak to the Manitou, Watchers Manitou Marketing Group. Right now, there are 2 people on that marketing group, plus the mayor. Has been in the past, and right now. Dwight Hayter has been on that board for 11 years. He asked that if he could be appointed again. So he is very familiar with that one. And Les Schuster has been on for a couple years. I've spoke to him and he would like to continue for a couple years. I am familiar with business, so I'm hoping you would accept my appointment on that position, on that board. Are we okay with that?
Working group, huh?
Yes, yes. Bev, could you speak to us on what the Mid-Sask Municipal Alliance is all about?
Oh, my.
Well,
I know that it started out. being,
Yeah, well,
And
yeah.
now it's a regional, economic development kind of, I mean, the whole idea behind it was to create partnerships with other municipalities, areas around here. So when it started off, there was a bunch of us meaning municipalities and RMs, we all needed zoning bylaws. And that was when RMs were forced to actually have building codes and things like that, right? There was lots of economic going on and they had no idea how to do it. So we redid our zoning bylaws through that group. Since then, it's kind of changed a little bit to be more economic development. That being said, though, when you're applying for grants, when you're applying for even just, I'm going to call it handouts for lack of a better word, with government, it's like your NEEP and, things that we should be getting, we need to prove that we're collaborating. And at some point, and this has been talk in council for the last few years because we kind of thought, well, this is what it was supposed to be, but we're almost forced to because we're expected to when we're applying for infrastructure grants and things like that. And so at this point, they're doing a lot of TCA, which goes into your planning bill, right? Your tangible capital assets and your amortization on your equipment and lifespan of our equipment and upgrades versus no upgrades and that kind of thing. So they're doing a lot of that right now. We do have a plan in place. And everybody's been a little bit on the fence.
Yeah.
Based on that
Can you tell
commitment.
us, just as point of interest, what we pay as a membership to that group? You don't
I
know?
don't know.
Okay.
But it wasn't the 74. so
Well, it didn't occur to me till this point,
I'm gonna
yeah.
guess
Okay.
7,000 and I'm not sure why that number sticks in my head.
Okay, that gives us
But it
pretty
might
good
be
ballpark.
Around that.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
We
Go ahead.
were just discussing the similarities between the,
This in the marketing board,
And
marketing group?
economic development.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's come up over and over, like, we're very fortunate because we've got the big group, NSMA, and then we've got, our Watchers Manitou Marketing Group, which is our local, so expanding on what's going on with the big group, we've got that. A lot of, we're lucky to have that because the other, they don't have that.
So I'm suggesting to Bill that you put us down for that, because it's kind of like our volunteer
Okay,
up from above.
Yeah,
okay. I don't know if we can have, I think we have one voting member
Well, we'll take
on,
this.
Well, and nobody's gonna say no if you don't show up for a meeting.
okay, okay.
So
So we'll go Rob and Bill.
Robin Bell for that?
Yes, if you will, please, Bev, make sure they get as much info as they can about this MSMA. The other person that you could probably speak to and who would be very willing to give you some information would be Larry.
And it's already intertwined with the community plan we already have.
Right, yes,
So
Yeah, so, but you could speak to Larry as
Well, and we've got
information
that
on that.
letter, I think Larry had sent that to you.
Yeah, I think we all got
Letter to the
it.
city of Humboldt. I don't recall if I have forwarded it to everybody.
Oh, okay, that
Right.
doesn't help me then, okay.
Well, you have it.
Yeah, I've got
Because
it.
you're going to a meeting tomorrow. I'm sure that that's what somebody had said. What
Not with the
meeting are you saying?
MSNA, I don't. My meeting tomorrow is with the marketing group.
Okay. well,
Yeah,
that's-
maybe that's a
Oh,
different one.
I was talking to the new economic development.
That's
officer.
the-
That's who I was.
That's
talking
the marketing group, yeah, that's not Samsung.
Is there an MSMA meeting upcoming?
to. Not that I'm aware of, there will be. no.
Okay, Gary Bergen is the chairperson of that organization from from Watrous. He can get you some information and give you a good idea, okay? And he would be more than willing to give you whatever information you need. Can we leave that to you to talk to Gary then? The two of you? Okay, good. React, that's something that's probably one meeting a year, an annual meeting and,
Yeah, there are a couple of
okay,
different times.
okay. Anybody? Vince?
Probably take that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Vince, you want it?
Go ahead.
Nope, Mike will
Go for it.
take that one, okay? And parks, that is also that's our provincial board, is it not?
Provincial Association for Resort Communities. I
Yeah.
sent forward you, they've got some great little newsletters. And I
Yeah.
just email them to you. And it's an organization for hamlets and resort villages. Right, because we are a little bit different than villages and towns, right? We have different legislation, and different needs, so it's actually a very good little group.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and we have had two on that board in the past, have we not? I'm looking. Yeah, we have, yeah, but anybody?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think that would be
Good,
very
Vince.
interesting to get
okay,
get
good.
from what others.
okay,
Just
so
Vince?
Vince,
One?
yeah. Well, let's not forget, this poor mayor may follow along behind every one of these meetings, we'll see. Okay, the SAMA, SAMA, voting delegates, that could be anybody.
Suma.
Now, it
It
says
was
SAMA,
before that.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Suma
Suma.
is before.
Suma is a.
that
urban
is our
municipality.
insurance.
It just is, but this is our Suma Assure representative, that's our insurance. Insurance.
Oh,
Suma,
Okay.
you're right.
Okay, I'm
might
seeing
have
it
just
typed,
changed their name, that might be the group that just changed their name. But this is, that's
that-
our insurance
okay.
here.
so
And
it's, looks like in the
Yeah, I know.
past, somebody.
it's just
went-
whoever went.
so
somebody
SAMA
represented
isn't
it.
SAMA, that's municipalities of Saskatchewan.
There's no committee meeting,
Right.
there's nothing, one AGM once in a while.
So whenever something happened, we just draw straws to see.
Keep
Yeah,
in
it's
mind,
available.
keep in mind, if you read through the information, a lot of these meetings are virtual meetings.
Now they are,
These days,
yes,
Now they
you're
are.
right, okay. SAMA should have been, it's the municipalities of Saskatchewan, right, voting delegates?
No,
No,
SAMA
no.
is assessment.
That's the assessment.
Oh, okay, good enough.
Suma was the Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that's why I just thought it was a misprint, good
No.
enough.
Where is the Suma committee?
We don't have one here.
We don't represent ourselves here?
We do it at the SUMA convention.
Right.
Right, and whoever's been available goes. Yeah, that hasn't been a thing, so don't worry,
We can
we'll
catch
let
that
you
one.
know when.
Um,
Going
well,
on
that's
there.
Usually.
Yeah,
Okay,
I,
well, when we
I
have
went
it,
last year and it's
That's in the
good.
winter, isn't it, usually that convention?
Well, we'll have to see if there is one this
And you know
year.
what, everything is just
Everything's
different now,
just-
so I don't even wanna guess.
I think
But
I
you'll
saw
be-
that virtually.
It could be,
Could be.
yeah. It was January or something. Okay, anyway, back to SAMA. We need two voting delegates.
Sarah stands for what again?
Saskatchewan
The
Assessment
assessment board,
Management.
I'm interested in that.
Okay, Bill, Mike, would you like to go on that with Bill?
What am I assessing first of all?
You're not
This is-
assessing
This
anything.
is property.
They're assessing
Basically,
your
they
property.
assess the
Property.
That's how we
Okay.
base our taxes, right? We need to
Okay.
get those.
I think
taxes.
it's a real good learner for you. I think that would be good for you to be with
I'm
Bill.
interested.
Good. The Watrous Housing Authority, Lori Harper wants to stay on that.
Excellent, yeah.
We
She's
spoke
been
to
doing
her,
it
so
in
she's
quite a-
good there.
to get anybody on that.
Yeah, Lake Watch Committee, I don't know if they're active, and Tim Davies is not somebody, I haven't had a chance to speak to him about that.
Do we need council members joining Lori and Tim? on these committees?
The Watchers Housing
The
Authority,
Watchers Housing Authority, will have to have you don't get to just join that. I
Okay,
guess it's quite a process.
like the rest of them, we've had a council member plus.
yes, I know what you
Okay.
mean, yeah.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is with this particular, the Housing Authority, they've approved Lori onto that
Okay,
Housing Authority as a representative for Manitou Beach, more so
Okay.
than a representative from council.
Absolutely.
And
because
she-
We had to do a bylaw, you'll have to
Yeah.
redo a bylaw to
And
have that
she
accepted.
Totally wants to be on that authority and she just says she has a vested interest and she's
She's
very
passionate for it.
interested, yes. So I think that's just the way it will work. Okay, Library Board, does anybody want that? I'm sorry, Lake Watch Committee, I don't know.
Who told me they pulled it, or that there was no longer?
Bob Geist told me he didn't think they were active.
Okay, well,
And that could be, I haven't. heard
we can
anything.
scratch it
Yeah,
and if somebody talks to Tim and it's still active, we can always reinstate it and go
So
from there.
removing it?
Yes, we're removing it.
Talk to
Okay, good. Library Board, anybody want to do it instead of me? Oh, don't all jump. It's kind of fun, but okay, anyway. Walk Water, Sherwin has, I would like to, I'm not the person to reappoint him, but he is very busy with that board and he's become part of their, the SAW group umbrellas, the Walk Water Board, so
and
he's
and
quite
Walk
involved
Water
with that.
is the watershed.
Water, water,
Something from
Water
Hell Valley.
yeah, it's a watershed authority.
Does it have room for more than one person?
Yeah, that's what I was
No.
thinking.
Walk Water is a one-person board. And SAW is the Saskatchewan Association of Watersheds,
that's
is
right.
what
yeah,
SAW
yeah,
is.
Yeah.
Walk Water is the little branches underneath that. And that
each
gives
one has
him
a
the
geographic
foothill.
area.
He went,
That's specifically our watershed.
this Walk
Yeah.
Water.
Walk
Yeah.
Water.
Saskatoon is the
Mhm.
South Saskatchewan watershed.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
there's about 6 or 7, but,
How often do they meet?
oh gosh, he's, sometimes it's twice a week, sometimes it's once a month. It just depends.
And any reports?
Yes, you get them a couple times, 3 times a year, yeah. And Sherwin will come speak to this group at any point in time if they wanted.
I'm not really sure.
Okay. Chainsaw Committee. That is, I guess,
If there's still a committee, I'd
Well-
like to play that one.
you'd like to be on that one?
If there's
Okay,
still a committee.
okay. Could we put Mike?
Because you have to make it two.
Well, there's still a group that's
Yeah.
waiting to be called on that one. So,
You know all the committee, because you were on it, right?
I do, and the time had always been that our last one was our last one. The plan had always from day one been to have 3. So then it was kind of iffy whether this was gonna happen again. We still have wood, and that was gonna be up to the committee to decide. And I really am not a decision maker on, I'm just the person that is out to organize and, that kind of thing.
Okay. okay.
So I guess if you wanna.
Do we still have standing members?
Bev should
We
have the
people
list
on
of
an
people
email,
that are
and
there.
Sometimes they show up for a meeting. Like it was,
Mhm.
So
Like
there's
really
still
bad.
people that want to
There's
be
still
involved,
people-
could be involved, or?
could be, because I don't know where they stand for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, but you do have a list of people that were on there that you could get to Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, and then he could
Could we contact them and see if they want to continue this? If not, then we can.
make a
work with it.
decision.
So-
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, because that
Mhm.
committee needs to determine where these are going.
That same committee needs to make a decision on that. So yeah, the committee needs to reconvene for that, if nothing else.
Okay.
So we'll put you as the chairperson of that committee. At the first at their first
And
meeting.
you're gonna have to remind me with all of these things, because I've got my everydays that I won't
Mhm.
Yeah.
remember, so if I send me an
Yeah.
email reminding me of that.
Okay, so does that give us what we needed for there? Anything else to
Are
add?
you talking about adding or changing the chainsaw committee, or adding a committee aside from the chainsaw committee, is that? something about-
Yeah, we spoke about a special committee.
We added a CID committee. Did we get to that one? Somebody-
It was,
talked
yeah,
about it, yeah.
it was actually Rec Board and Communities in Bloom, and we split it, is what we did. Because in the past, Chris was treasurer for both of those committees, so it worked to just combine it. Are there any other questions on these committees?
You just need a motion.
Could I have a motion to approve the,
Committees as listed, I will make that
committee.
motion.
okay? Seconder,
No
all,
second.
no seconder necessary, all in favor? Okay, we've got our committees, we've appointed our deputy mayor. Okay, we need approval for community halls to reopen for event
What are
bookings.
council's thoughts on this?
Yeah, where do we sit as far as COVID is concerned? We're at 30, is that it? Or proper spacing?
That's the provincial guideline, yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to remember too, there's not gonna be anybody, policing that. I won't be asking, how many people do you have coming? No, unless you want me to, but.
You can provide the information.
What about that?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, but there's, I can't imagine how I would police it.
How about, would be cleaning protocol in regards to that as well, right?
In regards to COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, and that would be Tanya, yeah, she sanitizes our offices.
Oh, okay.
And she cleans the hall. I presume there's a record meeting tomorrow.
Yes.
So I've already contacted her because I need to
Mhm.
know so I can
Yeah.
tell her when she's going to do that.
Does she,
Yeah.
and she goes in after every meeting or every event to do the cleaning?
Well, we haven't had any, the hall hasn't been used.
No, but I mean, I'm talking past practice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Part of the rental.
Mhm.
And so that's why I said that there's a record meeting tomorrow night, so please keep checking the event.
Thank you.
And I would know more after and tell me what we're going to do.
Yeah. So it's up to whoever's having the meeting to set it up appropriately in terms of spacing, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and protocols and all that type of thing. I think people have become quite accustomed to the COVID protocols. When we closed, there was, how many, did we have a lot of bookings when we actually said we weren't using it?
Oh, dear God, yes.
Yes,
I mean, our
okay.
hall is until summer.
Oh, for the summer months, yeah. I remember when, yeah. Well, and the government didn't allow us to open any of our community halls and public spaces until middle of July. Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people had canceled their social.
Do we have a number? Do we have a number of people who, 30?
A number of people.
We have about 30 people inside the building, I believe.
As long
Yeah.
as you can,
As long as you
As
can
long as you-
space
that's
appropriately.
right.
if you can't, masks are mandatory.
Mhm.
You read your guidelines, that's.
Yeah.
Like in theory, right now, we should be masked,
Mhm.
because we're not keeping, our.
6 feet, isn't it?
We're at
Exactly.
6 feet, yeah.
Yeah, so with the
Okay.
furniture in here, I've done the math and, yeah. Or that one in the corner. So the hall is, it's a, I don't know, 30. I don't know if that would be safe, but most people are familiar with new habits, you know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
fine,
Mhm.
right?
Well, that would be our stipulations for them, that they might rule.
Yeah,
That's right,
yeah,
I'm always
yeah.
saying policing, I wouldn't be able to go and check and make sure.
Yeah.
You know, we
No.
tell them, this is what you need to do, and if they-
Well, and churches are open and they police themselves, and that's another public building, so how do we feel about it?
I think it's a pretty benign time of the year to say yes, so I think it's easy to say yes, because it's.
There's
the
not a
end of the
lot of
season.
things going on, yeah.
So why don't we say yes and see how it goes at a time like this, and if there's somebody who holds a rave in there, then we
Well, and that's the thing is also what are we renting it for, you know,
What we've always rented it
the
for.
meetings.
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
but, yeah, if somebody wants to have a whole special event in there, that becomes a different story in terms of,
Well, they
Fire-
have to,
party,
yeah.
reunion.
And most of the time, that's what our hall is being used for. I guess the rec board has their meetings there, but
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
a meeting
Mhm,
most of
mhm.
the place. It is for Christmas parties or family reunions or folks from us. So, yeah, you're right, you might want to define what it's being used for.
Yeah, yeah, maybe approve it on a event request basis, not a general, okay, it's wide open. Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
So,
What if
event
we-
request, how do we do that?
What if we rent it under the COVID rules, provincial rules of 30 people? And if somebody is, it's a family, are they the same bubble? Then they,
I guess that's up to them to determine that. I mean, they would have,
but
The
that
renter
but
would
it
have
still
to
has
follow
to
you.
fit, it still has to fit the 30, even if it is the same.
We have to find out if 30 is your number.
It is,
Okay.
it is, I would be the guideline.
yeah,
I think we could rent it as it is, following current COVID guidelines.
with that guideline of maximum of 30 people.
And that is the current okay. Motion to that, please.
I would move.
That we
The
reopen
hall for events, with a cap of 30 people,
as per COVID.
as, you know,
that's
COVID
for
guide.
current COVID, because if it changes.
If it changes and
Right.
saying
Yeah.
that 30 is, I don't know, if we could put 30 in there and actually still have, so current guidelines, that way it can change, are you fine with that, or you want the 30 in your motion?
well, let's say current guidelines,
Mhm.
but certainly when somebody wants to have an event, we say, well, how many people do you expect? And they say, well. 50.
Well, we've already made it very clear that current COVID guidelines are
Yeah.
current COVID
So,
guidelines.
yeah.
Okay, so we've got it. So the motion reads,
So current or 30?
Current.
current. Okay,
And then that would inform them probably.
Current provincial.
Yeah.
Provincial. not-
yeah.
Guidelines.
Okay,
Alright.
all in favor? Carried. Approval of accounts.
Well, actually, no, we're at number 10, resumes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the extra. I'm sorry. That's right. Here we
You
go.
all have them, they were handed to you.
No, I don't, I haven't found it this way.
I'm sorry. Okay, I am so sorry. Where have I missed that one?
Typically, we
Okay.
would be, I have already advertised, I know I don't have the authority to do that, but we need help. So Bobby gave me the authority to do that in the paper. So we've got 3 resumes already. And typically, in the past, I would shortlist them, and then they would go to our Human Resource Committee, which we have now, because we made your committee.
That's right.
So I'm not sure how this council wants to proceed with that.
Okay, so you've read through these 3 and there, I guess what we need to do is put a final date on the application because that was an open-ended.
It was open-ended.
It was open-ended, so we need to have a final date on that. So that people would know.
Well, it's advertised today, and that's it. I ran it for 2 weeks
Mhm.
to see what we could get. And I would surely hope that it's not gonna last for a time because I can see how.
Got that, yeah.
Have you ever advertised in SUMA for positions?
Oh, we have, yeah, we have, and quite frankly, we're not getting any difference, right? We get a lot of people with, accounting backgrounds. I have only got out of 13 years, 1 person ever that has been a soft background, which is the software we use. I mean, it's very useful so that they can come in and actually know what a tax office is and what that software is. and that kind of thing. I was quite pleased with these three, like the first one, I put them in order of my, like this first one as excellent references. Second one, she's younger, which is not a bad thing, right? Young folks can be trained. There's, yeah. And this one, I didn't get a chance to call any of that. It's not a reference, but it's really not, typically, I guess I need to know what am I doing with it, because
Okay.
the human resource, well, previous councils done it differently, I need to know
Okay.
what you guys need to do
Okay, so I'm going to suggest, you said we have another, the ad is in the paper,
today.
came
I
today?
ran it for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will, look at what we have by Thursday, shortlist to 3 after Thursday, and try and set up interviews right away quick after Thursday, and go from there. How does that sound?
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because the Watchers paper's out Monday. Any discussions on that?
Were you wanting the full 2 weeks for,
No, quite frankly, I suspect we'll be lucky if we get one more. Like, we just, I've seen how it's not, we don't get.
Well, we can, like, the paper comes out Monday, if we got a couple of days to see if there are any more.
Yeah,
Then
do we have it on
Yeah.
SAS jobs?
no, because I'm very new to put my time in and to get something out to the community. And it's nice to have somebody that's local, right? If there's somebody here, they're not relocating. Timeline, most likely any of these applicants, whoever, are gonna have to give 2 weeks notice, at least for the current position that they have. We're looking at a while.
And how are they with IT? Does anybody jump out more than the other?
You know, I really like the first one,
Two customers.
and they're,
Which one?
I mean, they're all, they've got finance background, which is good. The only one thing I have to remember that municipal government is a little bit different than business, so there's certain things there. But if, I mean, if you can use Excel and you're using Simply Accounting, I mean, you can learn to use soft, I guess. It's just a real bonus for me if I don't have to actually do everything for the whole training. That's all. And they, somebody comes in and they already know programs, that's just a bonus for me.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll turn that over to our 2
Okay, so
HR
I'm leaving it
people?
shortlist to Thursday. And then to HR, correct?
And that would be Bill and Vince. Please keep me informed, gentlemen. I'm
Will.
interested. Okay,
Okay, number 11,
is,
South Park.
okay. I think we're gonna really start running out of time. Are we okay to put that to business coming up so we've got a chance to look at it? Is that, or do we need to move on to it right now? How, would you like us to move on? Okay, let's do that.
So that one is.
Okay.
looks really good.
Manitou Beach, it's the blue page here.
That's this one.
Yeah, good. Okay. 'Cause I just saw it, so we haven't had a chance to read through it.
So what are we doing with it, sorry?
Mike wants to speak to it, and we'll go
Okay.
from there.
And I haven't read this in, so.
Oh, okay. So that's why I'm going to say, is if we could, as a council, take home our information about,
I think there's a lot of work that's gone into this. This is
Yes.
very impressive.
I agree. So how about we take it home ourselves, study it, look at it? May we speak to the person who, I think any of us could speak to the person that submitted it? Would that make sense?
Yes.
And then we'll address it at our next meeting in 2 weeks?
I,
So I've got
I
bring
think
back
that's
to
a
the
good
next
idea.
meeting.
Exactly, okay? So please, everybody look at it.
Set a person at the meeting?
Can we speak to her?
As a
Well,
delegate?
Yeah.
Let's deal
Actually-
with number 12 first,
Okay,
but I would say yes, that leads into the whole.
Everything in space.
Okay,
Yeah, this is very encouraging.
yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so, and let's just ask this person right now. We'll ask ask her to come to the next meeting, even as a single
Are we
delegate.
taking delegates then? That would be another.
Well, that's where we're looking at going to the hall. Right?
Number 12.
Okay. Bill, would you like to speak to that one?
Yeah, I would like to see us utilize the hall so that we can accept delegates. And basically, I think we need to get Wi-Fi into it to accommodate that. Vince thinks we've got an existing phone line, so it's just a matter of applying for a Wi-Fi router.
Okay.
And, you know, I was gonna run between, I assume that the rate would be the same for the hall as for the residential hookup, but I don't know about that. It might be a little bit more, not sure.
Oh, it would be different.
Yeah.
So it could go under the village's business plan, it would be added to it, just on another
No,
zone?
it has its own, it has its own, when they had a, it was always considered a commercial account. I don't know why I inherited that. I thought they should have called it C Hall or something.
Yeah, so I don't know, what do you pay for internet?
Lots, everywhere. I have to go
There's
look,
a VoIP system here.
and my
right?
computer's there, so.
Yeah, well, because I'd like,
Like, I can't tell you what we do because we also have our phone lines. There's a whole bunch of other
tied
things
into
on it,
Right.
so I have no idea. Things like that, that's good for me if I can look back into some of our invoices and stuff like that. Then I can have that information for you, but off the top of my head, I don't want to give you anything wrong.
I'm guessing it's $60 to $80.
Yeah.
So the residential one runs roughly around $60. There is sometimes, on a residential basis, you get a 6 month reduced rate for your first 6 months or whatever. But anyway, we'll be looking at an increased expense, but then it will also, allow us to do business there.
So then going forward, I need to know exactly where our council meetings are gonna be, I need to advertise them. Right, so if they're gonna be there all the time, if that's any meeting, that's fine. I just need to know in advance, because I have to give public notice to everybody.
Right, yeah.
That's what we're looking at,
Well,
okay?
we have to find out roughly how long it takes to hook up. It could be a 2-week wait.
We
I
have
can't
to,
imagine it being-
yeah,
I don't know. I ordered a hookup and it was into the second week, 10 days or whatever, before it got done. So it's just a question of where they sit.
I guess who's doing this, then? Am I inquiring about this? It's my-
Whoever's doing it, I strongly recommend we report from both South Taylor and Alexis.
You know what, I'm gonna put Lindsay on this one, because I've got lots. And
Mhm.
that won't be.
we'll need a motion as to, what we're willing to pay. We need a ballpark as to, like, if it's gonna be $120 a month, are we willing to pay that? Probably not, right? But if it ran $70 a month, we're looking at an expenditure yearly of,
Access is their citizen.
That's my only they told me they're gonna put a quote in on the building and I just better not do it. So, The sheriff, the sheriff.
Okay, well, I
As
have
for-
Lindsay here.
I think it's worth the money because
Yeah.
it's something that renters are gonna benefit from. And then, you know, as we evolve on COVID, we can start recouping that money from rentals. And I think it's very important democratically to be able to welcome delegates back.
And offer them
In
that
meeting with
space.
people today, they do not know how to engage with council.
Mhm.
And I think that's a big part of our role is coaching them how to get their needs met and how to represent. And that can happen without delegation, but I can remember coming here as a delegate many times and thinking, if I hadn't been there, that would have been a disaster.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a way for, and I agree, it's a way for us to maybe regain that transparency that we're looking
Exactly.
for. Okay. And we lost some of it through COVID, so all of that fits the, on an interesting note to add to this whole internet thing. I had a member or a ratepayer call me and say, why aren't we on the list for an improvement with this internet upgrade? And I went, well, I don't know, what are you talking about? So I made a quick call to to Donna Harpower's office. She, in return gave me the right numbers to call. I called them, and the gentleman called me back and he said, oh, this is an easy call. We did an upgrade at Manitou Beach, December 19th, I think. And we went from a 5 to a 10, 25, or 50 with a Max Stream TV, and there's a major upgrade that came to Manitou Beach that I didn't know happened. So we have definitely got the capacity.
I didn't see them do it.
Yeah, and I didn't either, but they tell me that there are people that are using it, so there may be some options there for a good rate to start with, you never know.
Yeah,
But that's just something else that
So when I got my last one hooked up, I asked him about that. I said, do you need to upgrade the lines coming into the building? And he said, well, you got one of these old lines, it's as good as the new stuff. So I guess it's only as good as your infrastructure that runs from their line
Yes.
to your building.
right, okay.
So if Lindsay's in charge of this, could he contact Mike about access or?
Absolutely, and I just put my notes here, and that's what in my marching orders
Okay.
here.
If
If
you
you have Lindsay to get a quote from Seftel and access. And I put
Okay.
a note that you're.
express to Lindsay that we're looking to expedite it as soon as possible.
Well, everything is.
Mhm, yeah.
as soon
Do we
as
need a
possible. I
motion?
just do that.
Yeah.
Basically, I guess did he report back to you
Mhm.
with costs and then?
Oh, absolutely, and then it comes to council, or I can do an email. Like,
Okay.
quite frankly, I'm just concerned about, I just need to know in advance of a meeting. It can't be advertising that, because it's always in council chambers, and on the day before, it's not,
Mhm.
it's going over there. I'm more worried about your legislation responsibility.
Exactly.
So
And
I'll
realistic.
take that into consideration.
Timeframe, what you need, when you need to know.
Well, as soon as we,
Prior to, typically, you gotta let, okay, so example, we decided that the 28th, we're not having that meeting at all, it's canceled. I would have to post that right away. Right,
Should
so
be 2
in
weeks
all
notice.
fairness, it's typically 7 days or something.
Well, when they're broadcast, do you still have the same criteria?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
yeah.
Realistically.
3 business
we'll be
days
next
is enough.
October.
I've always done 7.
I was-
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you've always done more. Like,
To be safe,
I was
because-
reading something
yeah.
where I read it, so it's three business days into it.
Mhm.
But
Well,
I
and
could
the
be
more
wrong
the
on that,
better, the more the better,
Oh,
so,
sure.
And
yeah.
I always go for extra, because there's always somebody that didn't know, they didn't, whatever. But those changes are important, people have to know.
Right.
So going back to 11, should we invite that delegate then?
Well, what,
Are
yeah,
we gonna be there
But
again?
don't-
Well, yeah, realistically, I don't see us
being in there by then.
being in by the
Yeah.
28th.
Or we could speak to the delegate on phone.
Yeah, I'd really
also.
like to see us in there and hope for the best.
Yeah,
And if it doesn't work, then
we could speak on, we
it's,
could do
I
it
don't
phone.
think she's the problem, I think it's Bev's obligation that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Okay, well, okay, I'm gonna go back to number 12 then for a second. Do we need a motion to make the expenditure?
I wouldn't until you know what the
Okay,
expenditure is. We're just
okay.
getting information.
Okay,
Make your motion when you have the information.
Okay, good enough. Okay? So Lindsay will look after that for us and,
He doesn't know that.
we could call him.
No.
No? Okay.
Let him know tomorrow.
Yeah, sure it is.
Okay. Number 13, we have newsletter. We have a council member who is anxious to help us create a newsletter that gives us a real insight into where our community sits and what we're looking for. Rob, take it away.
So I guess this comes from a couple of catalysts that have happened, new council, Charlene not being here to produce a regular newsletter, and time to reconsider what a new newsletter could look like. And, you know, sort of like gradual release. When the staffing is back, turn it back to the staff. This isn't a permanent kind of situation, I would suggest. So what I'm asking your permission for is to generate this first primary whatever newsletter that would just, I got a whole bunch of ideas on here. Should I go through them real quick?
Probably not, unless you, well, sure, just a minute,
Come
go
on, Bill,
ahead.
this works talking.
Okay, please, let's hear it, let's hear it, yeah.
I've got things like
So much
thanking
for
thanking
Holly.
and recognizing the previous council, a late report, some bylaw, reminders, CIB report. So I approach these people. If they choose to decline, then that's okay, but at least they're invited. A rec board report, a community garden report, administrators report, foreman's report, something from council. So is it general, or do you want your own kind of thing? Think about that. What is the best way to engage councillors so that people know that picking up the phone and calling Bev and thinking it's going to be all solved in 30 seconds is not the best way to get your need met. Reminding people to get on the email list, and that's different than the e-bills. How to get on the website, or highlights on the website to invite people to check that out. YouTube, to remind people that council meetings are on YouTube. So it's sort of business and community focused.
I like the idea. I think we're gonna need one because we won't have you won't have an assistant at that point and
No,
you're gonna be
and,
busy.
I mean,
Yeah.
Prior when I did it, we're just too busy.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
6 weeks or 8 weeks.
I would-
Rob, it'll be great.
I would really like to, to thank Rob for doing that.
So should I, okay, if I get permission, should I email it to you and then?
And Bev,
Bev?
Yeah.
Before it's distributed by Bev?
Just
For sure,
For,
yep. Mhm.
just for council's perusal.
Yeah, are you good with that?
So then, you know what, just send it to us and add it to your council package, and that can be your timeline. Does that work okay?
I'd really like to get this out before the end of September.
Okay, well, you guys just, when it's proofed and you're
Mhm.
done, just let me know.
Mhm.
My job is just to send it off to the newsletter group.
Okay,
Well, your job may be to contribute if you choose.
I saw that, but you get 2 reports from me every month. That's
But this is going to the community.
all I know, but that's all I can do right
or you could brief the report we've given and add it to the,
I'll talk to Bev.
now.
so
It's
too.
part of the minutes,
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
can see.
yeah,
yeah.
Our reports.
Okay. Okay,
So
good.
is
It'll
that a
be,
go?
yes,
Let's go.
yes, I think that's a go. All in favor?
Hey,
Well, I didn't have a motion, you want to?
I know, no, but that was just a frivolous, yeah. We're just glad Rob's gonna do one. Thank you for volunteering to do that. We need to go to accounts, please, financials. Has everybody got their information in front of
Any
them?
questions? Just kind of looking through to see what.
There's proof in the pudding that we paid our poll clerk $15 an hour. Let's see that one.
Yeah, and city council, their final remuneration. There is one committee one that it will be coming up in the next city council, still didn't have the expense sheet. Which incidentally, I gave you all an expense sheet, so you know what it looks like and what it's used for committee expenses and that kind of thing. It was in the package that I had given you on the side.
Okay, I'll have to look deep
Barb,
to
we
find
mentioned
that.
the election staff lunch because I did buy us food because we had to be here for
Yeah,
three meals, so
okay.
$32.75. Just looking down, we've been credit on Go. Okay, here's a big one. The REACT is the Leroy landfill levy. That is due October 1. So it's been in my AP, so it's beginning of the year, but
It's
due
a
October 1.
yearly levy?
Yeah, I can't recall, but it's because they built a new landfill. I don't remember all
About
the
3 years ago,
details
they
about
completed
it.
that.
Yeah, and I don't recall how many years we're paying this, but this is due.
Okay, any questions?
Kurt,
How we doing?
This
Is
is
this
our
our-
Watrous water treatment plant operated July and August. That is our level 2 people overseeing our level 1 people. FYI, that's how it works. And we have somebody that's fully fledged too.
Mike, what were you gonna ask?
The reactor, is that cost of garbage pickup as well, or what?
That is,
Is that also covering the cost of like the garbage pickup and stuff, or is that just
for
like?
what?
React Waste
The React.
Management.
No, it's a Leroy landfill levy. It's a separate entity. And, so you have an annual assessment levy, which is long gone and we won't see that until January, kind of beginning of the year. Then we will pay, React will send us a bill for dumping our bin here. And then other than that, garbage pickup, I presume you're meaning streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, people buy pay and it goes like that. So that's how it works. So this is only for the landfill levy. So my details, I try to put as much as I can in the little time. I only have a few, I don't use so many letters, but I'll get used to my hand, some of my shorthand that I use.
and they estimate that on the volume that's been going now?
This was because they built a new one, and I don't recall 3 years ago or 2 years ago how they figured out what each person knows. I really couldn't tell you.
So is this something that will disappear after 2 years?
I think so, and like I said, I don't recall.
Okay, that'll be.
Like those are, when you go through your package, it's really, if you got questions like that, ask me when I wake up on the computer. If I don't.
I think I want to react to it.
You're on the committee.
Yeah.
So there, you
There
can
you
go
go.
find that out. Yeah.
Have fun, dig in.
I mean, I could look back, but off the top of my head, I really can't answer the question, so, and that is kind of it.
Any other questions?
I did have one.
Yep, go ahead.
Handsets, what are they referring to?
Is that fast cal?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's because of light phones or,
Is that FastTel?
yes, yeah.
Yes, handsets are our phones here. I know it sounds like really expensive phones, but it's actually the wires and stuff in the wall that is with them. Apparently they had saving us some money on a bill. So we're looking at a handset and voicemail, and it also gives us the ability to have our conference calls.
So it's,
So it's not just your phone at home, you go plug it in, you get
It's the
different
VoIP system,
lines
right?
in. So
it's
I
a VoIP system? Or
I have-
something like
have no idea what kind of system it is. It's just on the Philips
that?
handset.
So we're renting the phone and the equipment from them.
Absolutely, yeah. And it is, and like I said, there's specific lines, and I don't recall what lines they are when they built it. Like, for example, this, I wouldn't be able to plug our conference in, say, my office, in my phone line there, because that's just a regular old phone. This has to be in the fax line, so I have to make sure I undo the fax, because they're different lines. So it's kind of all
That's
part
not
of
the way-
those handsets.
Still.
Yeah,
same
you know
basic
what,
radio.
all I know is that it took us about 3 weeks for us to even figure out how to use the phone.
Mhm.
They're just not, it's unfortunate, but.
Okay. Any more questions? Could I have a motion from somebody to approve the accounts payable?
Sure.
Rob will do that. All in favor?
And I just want to let you know, everybody to sign checks. The checks need to be signed by me and somebody from, council. We don't have accountants, we don't have authority yet. So I've been emailing whatever I get as quickly as I can, and those papers are gonna come back, so I may just, if I can get them before the next meeting, hopefully, then we
Oh,
can
for
get our bills paid before the next meeting. So I'll just send out an email saying, somebody please come and sign this.
Yeah.
If you're fine with doing that, not at a council meeting, that's gonna be the difference, right?
Yeah, it'll just be the,
Little
well,
bit of catch up, little bit of catch up.
yeah, and then after we've approved them, once we get into a routine, then we'll do it that way. Okay, the bylaw enforcement reports, have we looked at those?
We haven't looked all of it.
Pardon me?
We haven't looked at all of it.
Okay, then let's look at them. The one for August 20th. Okay, that was the fire ban.
Yeah, I have to say there was some communication breakdown over that one. Because I was elected, people were calling me as if I knew, is it over? Is it over?
I had the same thing
I didn't even
happen.
know if it was on until I went through Wellington and saw the sign put up in there.
Okay. Could this, the fire bans, things like fire ban and the, when we have had water outages, could it go on the Facebook page and be emailed, or
Well, it can,
where
I
are
was
we?
by myself and it was like, oh no, because we never put a fire ban on. We follow suit with ERN. That's all we do. We didn't decide, we just follow suit. And it's just a matter of, yeah, we can if I've got the time and I hate to sound like that, but
Mhm.
it's like Charlie wasn't there again, and it's like, oh, the end of the day, 10 o'clock at night, well, Facebook, I didn't do that, because I really am not.
I'm just,
Absolutely, when
Yeah.
we try, but I.
Yeah. I'm just concerned with the fire ban. It is important. It is something that we all need to
It
know
is,
about. Yeah.
and that's why our first thing is making signs and getting those and post them wherever in the process, where people are gonna have those things like that, so I'll try to do better, and maybe we can get some help in here.
Yeah, I'm just concerned when the only person that, it ends up on Facebook and we find out about it on Facebook from somebody, from an employee, I mean, and that's wonderful that he gets it out there and he gets it on the Facebook, but we should probably make sure that we're getting a hold of people the same way, or as quickly as, maybe quicker than possible.
Facebook is good, but not
Yeah.
exclusively. Because
Exactly.
you've heard this before, and I'll hear it again.
Yeah.
I'm not on Facebook.
Right. So an email blitz could be the answer to.
Well, in our
Yeah.
email, this is only what we have for newsletters, right?
Yeah.
That's what we
Yeah.
have, so if you sign up, you'll get it. And quite frankly, I'm more inclined to do that than Facebook.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
works,
Facebook,
yes.
I have to go onto mine, and it's on my phone, and I've
Yep.
got little,
Gotcha.
and
Yep.
I'm
And it's
not a
another,
Facebook.
it's another reason for people to sign up for the email.
Well, you can tell them that why I don't have internet, I mean, it
Well,
goes on.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah,
But yes,
we'll
yeah.
always do those physical
Mhm.
signs out there,
Yeah.
always.
Mhm. Okay, we crossed that one, touched that one. Beach and, okay, so that's just sort of our reports.
1008 Lake Avenue. The home in the hall, right far end by the marina. It's on the
The
backside.
August
08,
29th, Commissioners.
Uh-huh.
Is that the one that's right across from where the shirt factory?
Yeah.
No, it does actually have a legal address.
Well, of course it does, why wouldn't?
Now we know.
Oh, you didn't know it had an
No.
address?
I always understood that it was, it had never been supposed to be there.
Well, it's a parcel. It really
Yeah,
is.
let's see, that's news we all learn, yeah,
Well,
okay.
That's all right. The history I had on
It's
was
real.
it was, well, it's real, but it's there, but
Mhm.
I understood that it had never been permitted, it just got built.
That would be before my time, because I remember the fellow that had it before. And he'd had it for a long time,
Mhm.
and then funds were being built and stuff.
No lot number on there.
And that was 14 years ago.
Pardon me?
There's
And
no
he
lot
had it
number on the
before.
map.
There's no lot for it on the map?
No lot number.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is, you're looking at the.
Next one over.
property. What you're looking at. This is what you-
There's just on the east side of James Street. Is this one right here?
This is what we're talking about.
That would be,
That
yeah,
would be it.
That's
Yeah.
In here, this is it.
behind the back alley, on the east side of,
That's right here.
Yeah, because this is.
you can see it, it's that house that's sitting, and it looks like it's in the
This is
water.
Victor's new alley.
Mhm.
okay,
That lane has been there forever. This guy
Mm-hmm.
he's been using it, to get in, because it is really no access. It's and
Mhm.
he has come, so that's been,
Okay,
he's been using this, but this is the
so
property
that,
we're
it
talking
is
about.
actually back
It's
that far,
ours.
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I am glad to see that we're addressing the,
You know, he was offered a
condition.
property, from the village. Do you remember this, Bill?
I remember it several times.
Oh, and it's really too bad, because it would have been such an easy solution. The village offered him a property up the hill
out of the water.
for
Okay.
free in exchange for his sunken property, which he would move his house, and then it would be a swamp.
And
And
that
the
was,
village would inherit this
Uh-huh.
hole.
And they, were willing
And
to
he
take it
couldn't
on.
afford to move the house.
but that was offered to the previous owner
Yeah.
too, several times, and it was discussed with this fellow. Nick keeps kind of changing around. I don't know, it's, I gave it to my brother now, and I'm not really sure what's going on. But yeah, and.
Somebody keeps paying the taxes.
They did, that's when they changed, I gave it to my brother and then, so yeah.
Okay, well, the taxes are paid up, so, okay. Everything else is bylaw Bob, correct? Okay, and then we're looking at the September 3rd report, and that discusses the one across from you gentlemen, so you know where that one stands. And the others, okay.
Well, I vote for Elizabeth. That's the highway, isn't it?
Yep. You have to take a drive around and look at this if you're concerned, okay? Okay, we've seen that, correspondence, the rec board meeting minutes, everybody's had a chance to look at that. Took a bit, they were a little behind getting their minutes in, but now we've seen them all, okay? We read the parks update.
So with the rec board
Okay.
minutes,
Yes.
which is great, I had a little exchange with somebody today about this, like, does this come to council for approval before it happens then? Or are they just telling us what they're up to?
I think it's a two-way street there.
Certain
Our
things,
liaison should be telling us what's going on,
Yeah.
right?
Would you want to speak to that, Vince?
well, certain things do have to go to council. Like we can, well, for instance, putting in access to the lake. Those things we brought to council in the past. To get approval to build the steps to the wharf to the.
But which part of this, Vince, would not need council approval?
The rec board they earn money with their pancake breakfasts and certain grants, things like that. If there was no, I'm looking here, if there was no, nothing that affected placements or things like that, they could go ahead and plan their winter event with just with just a matter of letting council know what the news is.
Because like the poetry box, I've been listening to council meetings since we went online,
Right.
and I've never heard anything about this.
The poetry boxes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that it was probably a matter of correspondence. And maybe the letter wasn't read because council goes through correspondence and that's how that would have happened. That would be my guess. I'm not saying right or wrong, I'm saying that that's probably how it came
Well,
about.
the prior council often do their packages, everybody went through their packages before.
Yeah.
So often there is any issues or questions about
Mhm.
their correspondence, and it was yes, no, and.
Yeah, and that's the fault of the past council. We can discuss that too, if you want to. Where are we with, I'm still trying to find my record minutes. Well, I've got quite a pile here, but, so they spoke of the poetry boxes, right? Is that what you're?
Yeah, and when I was meeting a constituent today, they talked about the poetry boxes, and I thought, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about it.
Okay.
And I knew, but I do listen to all the meetings and
Mhm.
re-listen, and will this one be archived? Like
Our
the,
meeting?
like the
It
24th?
depends on what council wants. I mean, it's your direction. Prior was we deleted them. I didn't keep them. I was advised not to. I would leave them on for a day or two until most of the time they were on until the next council meeting, but they were not to be kept.
Well, I'd be interested to know what the others, your feel about that, but my opinion would be that we should be archiving. I know that people have been listening to them later, and I was able to listen to the August 24th before meeting with these, like I listened to it again this morning before
Okay.
meeting with these people, just to make sure I had everything, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I left that one on because I
Yeah.
looked at it thinking, oh, I should be deleting it because that was my intention and what I was told to do before is just keep current. And then I left it, so it'll just stay, if that's what council wants, they will just stay on our channel.
Let's leave it for now and see where we stand. I have no problem with it staying up there. That might be a good way to reference if we run into discussions on how did that work, how did we do things. Okay, did you want to touch base on, Vince may know a little bit about those poetry boxes. Did you want to speak on it?
I'm just
No?
sharing.
You wonder how that went,
They
yeah.
were not an expense to the rec board or the village, they were donated. And we just a format, I guess.
Writers
It's a
Guild.
writing-
That actually, yeah, that they just I think the rec board was just sort of a flow through.
It was, the rec board was there just as a connection to council.
Yeah,
Well, I guess my little tip today was about jurisdiction, and I think this is our jurisdiction, and that was challenged with that. And, we're always talking about liability. I mean, we're talking about liability about your meter reading part. Let's look at some serious liability, and when something is being installed on public property, or it's an event on public property, I don't want to be sideswiped as a counselor and say, I didn't know about that, or, oh, it's coming, but it's gonna be in my next package of information, because
you're right.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And there are other, we talk about jurisdiction, and I don't know if this person is listening or what, but no offense. But,
Mhm.
Wellington is turning into the ferry domain again, and I don't know whether that has been voluntarily attached, even though in the newsletter it said don't glue things to the trees. There's a whole new spectrum of attachments installed in there. And, I don't think there's ever been any council endorsement of that effort. Painting on the trees is back again.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I'm just talking about due
Okay.
process.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
That's all.
No, that makes sense. And these rec board minutes, the rec board is at fault. We should have had them sooner.
I'm not
And we should,
blaming.
but, no,
When you
no,
say fault, I'm not blaming, I'm just,
remiss. How's that? Remiss. And if, we will just make a point of making sure that we get them and we get a chance to look at those things. And if we have some questions, we can address them. Does that make sense? That's a good one? Okay, good. We had some parks update. We had the Manitoulin District Regional Park, general meeting.
I just wanted to interject there because earlier in my report I mentioned
Right.
Jim Crawford had called.
Yeah.
He wants to know if this council is on board with these half of the driving property being leased by them. We want to know if you're on board or not.
Yep.
I think they're probably looking at cost first.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
and
whether
that's
they should go ahead and investigate that or not.
Yeah.
and
We
I
will
read
get-
$18,000, which kind of makes up for the $22,000 lost in taxes.
Yeah, it's quite it's something that we will have to definitely round and round and discuss. Let's get through our correspondence, and then we can get
We
to
don't
some
wanna
council
talk about that
discussions.
tonight.
Pardon me?
We don't wanna talk about that.
I need to get
We
back to
could,
him.
or we
I need
could
to get
not.
him
It's up to you.
something.
Well,
I don't think we have enough information at any point to
no, I
start
think
discussing
it's a
that.
negotiation.
This council has to decide if that's even something they want to have there. It all has to, I don't think we're zoned for it, are we?
Yes.
For a
that's what I was
campground?
doing. Yeah, that was the part.
The discretionary.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that was that whole
okay.
zoning thing that I had.
Okay.
I would rather see that than a lot of other
But that
things
being
that were
said,
tossed around.
I
Mhm.
can let Jim know that, if.
Council
it's
is
been
discussing
decided,
it.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
That's all we need to do, okay. Anything else in those reports we want to talk about? The Sask Power meter upgrade, that's just a matter of information. Okay. Anything else through our minutes or our agenda that we need to discuss? So let's do some roundtable chit chats here. Let's start from the left.
Who has the correspondence? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Who wants to pass the correspondence? Mike is going to. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Mike, what have you got? What have our ratepayers brought to your table that we need to discuss?
Good question.
Okay, well, if you've got nothing offhand that you want to bring, or you've got, a few minutes to tell us what you think or what.
Let's start with Bill.
Okay, Bill, you can go first.
Well, we really don't have anything at this moment.
Okay. Rob,
No, I think I got my things on the agenda, so that.
Okay.
Thank you.
we can talk across that one.
The big concern that I've heard is, the water quality from the pumping that's happening down there. The water
Okay.
quality at the beach. And some days it's not bad because of the wind direction or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
other days it's quite.
Okay. I think that's something that we will be able to address. We've got a November 3rd meeting with the WSA, They-
The one,
yes.
the one we're supposed to have.
the one that we talked about having
And
tonight.
where is it going to be?
They have booked November 3rd. I would say we will have it at the hall at 3:00. If you could check and see if it's available. That is November 3rd. I did send an email, but they, because of an election, there would be too many things that would get in the way, so they're coming November 3rd.
They stopped the whole thing.
That's
Yeah,
like everything,
exactly.
All the wheels stop.
So November 3rd is the date that they will come, and they're,
Good time.
I have to discuss that
Oh,
with them, but I would like to say 3:00. And then we can have some time to chit chat, and if they need to be here through daylight hours, they'll be able to handle those things.
Okay, the date's available.
Okay, so if you would pencil that in for the whole for us, please. So that's November 3rd. And I will get more information to you at that point. I spoke to Earl Hayhurst at the drive-in. He is going to I think he has one more show. And then he will get back to us he figures he can, give himself a few weeks, a month. He'll make a time to come and speak to us about the drive-in and what how the year has been. And he is interested in next year, so I suggested we come up with a couple proposals of what he would like to do, how he'd like us to work it. And then we can have some input into it. In a perfect world, it'd be nice to have him under contract and everything in place for next year when we start next year, okay? That's what I'm hoping we might be able to do anyway. But he's going to get back to us and we'll have a discussion on that. Did everybody receive their information for the Dance Land event on September 22nd?
Yes.
From Sarah McKen? Okay, she had, pardon me?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Tomorrow is the deadline to reply, to attend that. It's a good opportunity for council members to meet some of the business people and have a chance to speak. I realize it's an expense to us personally. We would, it's $25 a plate. you can penalize me. I said that. I said, as council members, I think that we would pay our own plate. I didn't want to, I said, I'm gonna eat anyway, so yeah, we'll pay it. So if you're interested and you're able to be there, please get a hold of Sarah.
I have, and I'm going.
Good, yeah, I'm going to,
I'm-
yeah.
Naturally, going to.
I'm kind of up in the air on
Okay.
it right now. We plan on being away, but that may change.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll have good representation, so that is a
I
good
would
one.
like to be there.
Good, good, okay. Is there anything,
Question,
yes,
were we supposed to deal with this Stevenson Avenue tonight?
Yeah, that was earlier from my report, that was the discretionary, and I still need to have a public meeting.
we have to, yes, that's another thing we have to.
Sorry, I won't
deal
let
with.
you run away, because I've got a list here.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything, I think that was all I had at this point. Is there anything else that we need to? Okay, and you're going to get a chainsaw committee list and get going on that, so that's,
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to figure out who's all on that.
and go from there. Okay, okay, Beth.
Sure, better one. The thing we talked to you about,
Pardon me?
when I talked to you earlier, about,
If you want to, sure, yeah,
um,
let's talk about that.
you know a little bit about it. We looked at the committee farm and fill a pond up there.
Speak up so the,
Sorry, I've got a committee farm to fill a pond, the turtle pot pit. So I guess, what I'm looking for is access to some pumps and some hose.
that would be through the
to,
village.
To start pumping from the lower pit up to the top pit to.
Get our water level
Eventually,
back up.
yeah, get the water level filled up
That's
in
for the
there.
rink.
For the
For the
rink
pond,
and
the
for
pond.
our fish pond, yes.
Yes, if we can get the level high enough,
Plan on making the fish.
there is a
Stop it.
potential to stop it.
Yeah, so,
Okay, so you're just looking for,
for permission of use for pumps.
I don't see an issue with
I
that,
know
do you?
To ask Lindsay if you have pumps that are
Yeah.
appropriate.
That's fine.
And depending on what we have for, and right now it's been so dry, we're not worried about flooding or anything. But if that's the case, we take the pumps. So just letting you know, we get
Yeah.
first.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely, yep, okay, so that's just a matter of, and the rec board is working with that same scenario, are they not?
I know that the rec board has, there's been a number of discussions
Yeah.
regarding that. with the
Okay.
rec board. And the committee that you have, I think that's something that could be facilitated quite easily just by contacting the foreman.
Yeah, yeah.
And say we need the pumps,
Yeah.
put them in a truck and we go. This
Yeah.
was going to be done a year ago.
Yeah, yeah, I know
Three
Chris,
years.
I know Chris had spoken of it different times and it
Yes.
just didn't get off the ground and things didn't happen. So thank you for that initiative. That will make a big difference.
Yes.
Yes, anything? Nothing on your mind, okay, so we
No,
need
no,
to,
that was it.
okay, so we need to set up a community meeting?
Public hearing.
Public
for
hearing, okay.
Discretionary use and closing the lane. Those are the two items that are gonna be heard. And it's not I guess it gives, the purpose of it is the people who, may feel that it's not appropriate or don't want it, they have an opportunity to be heard. That is the purpose of it.
Mhm.
I need a date. That way I can put the date in the letter that I need to send out.
Right, our next council meeting?
Or she wants it before council,
Well, it would have to be before council, because you can't
discuss it.
discuss it until after the public meeting. Right? You can't have it 7 o'clock at night, and when
Right.
you could have the public meeting at 3 in the afternoon if you wanted that day. And then you would be able to, and depending on what your, I don't know what your daily lives are like,
Yeah.
right?
I think it's important
Maybe
we have it
at night.
in the evening to allow the
Working public.
people that own property around us. Yeah, and if it's a public meeting, yes, there's people that are notified and by letter that this is going to be there, but it's a public meeting, so anybody is open to attend it,
Well, there's
right?
public notice.
Yes, right, that would be in the Watchers paper or it just goes
No,
on?
it's gonna be
the face-
posted.
Posted,
notice,
okay.
yes, and then the 75 meters are the ones that will
Right.
have the letter.
Mhm.
Because that's the legislation within that, they'd be the closer
Mhm.
properties, I guess.
So do we want to have it we'd have to have a different night than the council meeting then if we're going to have it in the evening?
Sunday, maybe both.
I'm okay with that, it's up
Sunday
to,
for the,
want to do
I'd
that?
like to point out that I work Monday to Friday here and I don't wanna, like Sunday night.
Mhm.
Can we not try to do something maybe a little bit?
Could we, well then,
how
could
much
we
time,
have,
how much time are we gonna need for this?
even if we needed an hour?
Who makes the presentation?
There's really no presentation. They have an opportunity to speak about what's not. There's no presentation. There's no public meeting. It will be, they'll have their information in their letter that they're receiving. I would imagine if I think about some of the other public hearings we had, it was, you are here because of this. This
Same
is what we're
as, same
doing.
events, same.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the same,
Yeah.
same,
Yeah, so
same
there's
thing.
not, no, we wanna do this, no. Everybody's been notified that this is what we're doing. Certainly, people will ask why, so we may wanna speak to that.
It's the opportunity for those within 75 meters to voice their concerns.
Absolutely, and
Mhm.
that's it, it's not a
Yeah.
public, huge thing, yeah. I mean,
That's why I just thought 7 o'clock would work for, we can stop our meeting, take a recess, spend an hour, if we need an hour, letting this be presented after, like at 7 o'clock. And then, we could go back to our meeting, finish our meeting and discuss this at any point. But it can't be discussed
What if we
beforehand.
do it the Sunday?
Some minutes, and I need a recording of.
I'm sorry?
Like this public meeting, there will be a recording and minutes of it, because we need to
Yes.
have legislation that we held it. So I wouldn't
What-
suggest breaking up the meeting and going.
If we were to have our regular, or have this meeting at 5 o'clock and have our council meeting follow that, do you have to advertise the difference in time or the possible change in time for the council meeting?
No, because your council meeting is 5:30, right?
Right.
You're having the public meeting at 5.
Right, if we had the public meeting
Yeah,
at
one
5
thing, yeah.
and it took an hour, hour and a half, if there's a lot of concerns, let's say,
Yeah, and I have no way of guessing that.
we have no way of
Right.
guessing that, but
But where is it gonna be held? We need to be, because your public
Right.
meeting needs to be at the
It
hall.
needs to be.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And am I running back here and hooking this up here? So that logistics, because if we don't have, the Wi-Fi over there, we won't be streaming our meeting, right?
No, but we will be in a public place that
You are,
it's
but people
posted,
still
so
need
we'd
to
be
know
able to do that.
That'll be-
That's what you said, you would post it.
they'll have to know that it's a live meeting, not a streaming meeting for that one.
Yeah,
And that there's.
my only concern is having it before supper time when some people are still working. I don't know how many people, I don't know who the property owners are
At
close
this
to
point,
this.
I don't know, there's lots, I mean, there's
Mhm.
several lots.
Yeah.
I'm ready to fit in the hall.
That, well, depending on if everyone comes, right, like I have no way of guessing, it might be everybody, or it might be 4 people. I don't know until I
There
get
isn't
them.
really that many people.
75 meters isn't that far. It's
But it's every lot besides, so we're
Right,
talking
right.
1, 2, 3.
It's a big area to start
Half
with.
of it
so-
already is unoccupied.
Yeah, there we go, 14 or
25 meters
15.
This way, and this way. I think I had originally about 75 meters, how many feet is
It's going
that?
to be the next block.
Okay, but people
How many feet?
can come from elsewhere.
75.
Mhm. It's not just the people that are in the.
Yeah.
3.23 times 75.
Yeah, just a minute.
Because that is going to be, and you don't wanna be missing anybody, so I'm gonna go even further.
230, 142.
Okay, so that's the limit.
146 feet outside.
So they'll be public and we're obligated to notify these people personally. That's our obligation.
So that's basically the length of 2 blocks each way.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
two lots, I should say.
Yeah, but you all considered this here too.
We could house
Different hall.
we could house everybody that we needed to if they understood that they had to be masked. If we
And
can't
to be
socially
honest,
distance,
You'll
yeah.
know, once those letters are out, because typically people will call. We're getting calls already. I mean, there's some
Mhm.
interest in there.
Yeah.
And I might be able to gauge once those letters are out, right? That's when, oh, you know, I want to submit, and certainly it's very beneficial if they can submit something in writing. It's clearer for council to understand what they're thinking before they even arrive. So I'd be able to know then, but right now. I
But their
can't even-
issues are not gonna be about an alley in the street, their issues are gonna be about the Oasis, right?
Oh, I don't know what their issues are gonna be, but very might be. But this is an opportunity, because one, discretionary use, you're approving that development in a residential area, right? So it could be, I don't want that. I don't know what their issues are gonna be, but the public, the issues that we're advertising are the discretionary use and the lane, closing the lane. We're obligated to do that. I'm just doing it together so that we only have to worry about one public meeting. That's the same development.
Okay, so why is this so hard?
I don't know. I don't know.
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Sunday nights, and I have nobody else here, so you have to
No, I got
extend
that.
me, I'm often not here.
Gentlemen,
Is.
How do you
Wednesday the
feel about a
28th
meeting?
Rushing this, should we defer this 2 more weeks?
Well, quite frankly, I'll do my best to get all of this business done and get those letters out. That is my main focus. However, there's nobody here, and then this morning it took me 4 hours to send an email.
I think that's what Rob meant, but
Yeah.
maybe going to the meeting after
Yeah.
28th.
Yeah, for them, yeah, but we can't lollygate either.
Yeah.
We
No.
need
Can
to,
we
let's get
not
a plan.
post it for Friday?
Let's get it done on a week.
We're not posting
can
for
do.
Friday?
Do we wanna do
Thursday,
it?
Friday?
preferably Thursday, I'm not here.
It's Thursday.
Which
Tuesday?
Thursday?
Pardon?
Which Thursday?
The
What's
Thursday
the
prior,
date?
the Thursday prior to our
There's
next meeting.
no,
Not necessarily. the-
the 17th is this one and the 24th is the next one.
Oh, okay, so.
24th is our
Third.
next meeting?
No, the 28th is our next
We need
meeting.
to hang a
Okay.
calendar.
So all of us are at this meeting, right?
Yes.
So
What day are you
there's
thinking?
6 people right there.
Mhm. Oh, it needs to be in the hall.
I'm
Totally.
wondering if it should be in Darren's lounge.
Well, then we're talking an expense, an extra expense.
I just don't understand why there's gonna be that many people there.
No.
It was the same for your meeting, right?
Same,
The
yeah.
same for him, but there was that.
But.
It's a bigger
It's a little
space.
bit
But
smaller.
it's not just those people, Bill, it's anybody in the village can come to this meeting, it's just those people
That's
are.
an information meeting, yeah.
And there is
But
a
it
certain
isn't an
amount of,
information. about the
Priority
Oasis.
being to the affected
there's a
people.
certain amount of anxiety around this project that could generate more attendance.
But is
Yeah,
this meeting
I
not
agree with you.
just
You know what?
dealing with the lane closure and the street extension?
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
This meeting is the discretionary use, building that building,
Okay,
like that,
yeah,
that.
no, I understood it
and-
was to do with this.
Yeah.
No, I'm just showing you your extended events, and you don't need any public notice for that, we're just gonna do that and get the history, I just don't know if you need a bylaw or something for it. But it's closing the lane, which is what the public notice is for.
Yeah,
So maybe if we're all this, because I gotta get those letters out, that's paramount. But I also have, there's nobody here, so I guess there's
Is
people
this-
coming in constantly
the
that I
letters-
can't say just, oh, go.
Is this naive to say RSVP because of COVID and we get a read on what to expect and then we can get dance line at the last
Well,
minute?
that's fair enough. I'm just concerned with your timeline here, because we're on the 14th. I'm gonna be bloody well lucky if I can get those letters in envelopes and typed and by the 17th.
No,
To
no,
be
not the
honest.
17th, following Thursday.
I know that, they need to be notified 7 days before, I
Yeah.
can't guarantee that. Right, and then all of a sudden it goes into the mail, and some of these they're not local. They're going to Saskatoon, and
Okay,
they're
how
going
about
to,
Tuesday, August, or Tuesday,
you know
the
what, I'm just
29th?
thinking,
After our next meeting. The day after our next meeting.
Mhm.
yeah, I always wanna get things done as efficiently as possible, but I just honestly don't think I can get those letters out in a timely fashion, and then they need to be, people need to know at least 7 days prior, and I don't,
I'm not
the
available.
mail's not moving very quick.
Okay. What about the 30th? The Wednesday, September 30th? At 7 o'clock? Is that workable?
Public hearing. Is that Wednesday? September 30th.
Okay, so you're gonna,
7 PM, and at the hall is what I'm planning.
you're going to, advertise this in the paper?
No, I wasn't.
Oh,
We don't
I thought-
have to, public notices, we poster around village and here, and then everybody within 75 meters gets
Oh, I
their
thought I
letter.
read that it had to be printed. And then is it gonna be in email? Will you be emailing this out to people?
I wasn't planning on it, I can, I was just following the legislation.
Yeah,
I guess we could expand on the
I don't think the
legislation.
legislation
Is
is
that what you think?
adequate enough. I mean, so
And
I
that's
hear
fair
them
enough, I
hitting
mean, my
those
big concern is
targets,
getting
you
those
know,
letters out.
but I
And
think the
that is my
community
concern.
it demands more. And I don't want somebody who's got anxiety over this project to say, well, what do you mean? I didn't know about this. You know, I live over there, but I still wanna,
Could we just add a advertisement in the Watchers paper that
Yeah.
says, please? Yes, if we could do that,
Okay, so I've
That
got a
will cover it.
motion from who? Who's setting the date?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And with that, include print, ad, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what were you saying, Rob?
email.
Email, news, that'll be just the newsletter.
Mhm.
So if they don't, if I don't have it, they don't
That's all
have
you
it.
got, yeah.
And newsletter. Okay, September 30th, 7 PM at the mall.
Do we want to speak to the developer ahead of time and see if he's got some information, insights, so we are,
Be very hard for me to speak to if anybody asks me a question.
I've already discussed it with him what he needs to do, because right now he's working on the subdivision, so I had met with them to find out, I have no plans yet, I mean, we haven't gone that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't suggest having them written up until you know if you can build it or not.
Mhm.
And the discretionary use is your first. If he,
Yeah.
if he doesn't have that, whatever plan he's got going across all those lots won't work.
Well, he could be invited to this for,
oh, he will be
he'll get
here.
the
Oh,
letter,
of
he'll get a
course.
letter anyway.
He'll be at it,
Because
yes.
we need somebody to speak to it, for the
Yep.
public's questions.
Yes.
For the neighboring questions.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he's
I
well
just-
aware of what he needs to be doing.
Yep.
We discussed
I
that.
see it turning into something bigger.
Bigger than we expect it to be.
And the legislative necessity, I think, is gonna turn into something more community-based.
Mhm.
And I think we're gonna need dance lounge, but
I
We
guess
had the
we'll,
last meeting about this in the hall. With the races.
But that was in the fall. That was his.
It was in the fall.
And that
There
was
not
him,
just
that
30 people.
wasn't the same, that was
Mhm.
him renting the hall for information.
Right.
It's
oh,
just
there
not.
was 30 people. It
Was
was
there?
well attended. Yeah.
oh, yeah, there
There was-
was,
yeah.
there was 50.
But I mean, at
Yeah.
this point, if in this letter it says that the community, I don't wanna be scrambling around saying, oh, now it's gonna be available.
Yeah.
When I put it in the paper and it's already done, like we have to think.
With, with the ad in the paper, can we put location to be determined?
Your public
Depending on-
notice tells them where to go. So that is kind of, my public notice will tell them, their letter will tell them where to go.
Okay.
So it can decide later on. I don't think the hall is gonna be that big of a deal. I think most people know, and masks may be mandatory.
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
that would just.
And
be-
any information
And
says
so-
COVID rules apply.
September 30th.
Because we have
We can expand into the other part of the hall too. If need be. I mean, it'll be chilly in there possibly, but
Yeah, well, it's just, if everybody's masked, I don't think that's
Yeah,
an issue.
so can you put that in the notice?
I can put masks required,
yeah,
maybe required,
that's right.
Because
And,
that's the only thing we can do, but I can't just not have a location. Your public notice includes that.
What
We'll
would the
let you know
cost
what
be
day
to,
it's on.
what would the cost
dance
go for
line?
that stuff?
$350, $400.
Pardon?
no, not for a meeting.
I don't know.
I didn't
Yeah.
hear the question.
What would the cost for Dance Land be?
Oh, gosh, I.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know the rate.
I'll go ask Millie tomorrow,
Okay, okay,
just because I can read
Mhm.
the first thing and.
Sure.
okay.
Okay, well, right now, your motion says it's at the community hall.
Yep, but
That's what I'm
information's
going
about that.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
comes up with a
That's what I'm
$200
going with.
price or
Letters.
something,
Okay.
I'd say,
Switch the
it's
letters.
still,
Mhm.
So go with the hall, not bother with dance line, or do you want to talk about it?
I'm going to talk to Millie, and I'm gonna get back to all of you and let you know what. she
Okay.
says.
Bev's not gonna have the letters ready by tomorrow.
No,
anyway.
but your motion says the hall.
Yeah. Okay.
You made a decision, but maybe not.
Mhm.
Well, this is the reality there, I mean, this is.
Oh, I
COVID.
understand
mean,
Yeah.
So let's
I-
change your motion then.
Yeah.
Because this will be in your minutes. Public hearing Wednesday at 7 PM, location to be determined.
Fair enough.
by
Yeah.
tomorrow.
By tomorrow.
Mhm.
Yes.
Location to be determined
And if it was a $200 thing, we could afford to do that for
by
the sake of,
September 15th is fair, we'll know tomorrow.
we'll know tomorrow.
So your motion says one.
I just see it scrambling at the last minute kind of thing,
Mhm.
just a disaster.
Okay. Okay,
So that'll be a reply all,
yes,
so
please.
that she knows right away.
Okay, do we have anything else at this point? I think we're going to have to, at this rate, we'll have to say, okay, every meeting ends by 9:00. How's that? Yeah. Any other questions? Anything else? It is 8:53 and we are adjourning this meeting. Thank you, people.
Okay, Poppy, you're making that
I
motion.
will. Would you like to shut off our live feed? Thank you.
Oh, darn it, I looked at you 3 times and wanted to say something about the